1, 2, test.
Am I right?
He's back.
That's
Hello,
all.
everybody,
Oh!
and welcome to today's episode of Keys to the Geekdom. How are you guys today? First
We're
of all,
excellent.
Feeling great.
today we are gathered to talk about Hello. First one in 6 years, at least.
Hello.
Fantastic. That was perfect. That was not even rehearsed. That's fantastic. You guys are a perfect team for this. Great. So, first, as usual, intros, but today we have a brand new person, Nonsurplus. Do you want to say hi, man?
Yes. First and foremost, I apologize for microphone quality. Next week when I come on, because I'm planning on joining that one, I will be bringing my own personal headset, so better microphone quality. Apparently, this one sounds like crap, so apologies. So
The depth of field in your video, though, is on point.
Oh yes. Perfect background, you know.
At least. All right.
All good, all good. And you guys know the rest, but just share a tiny bit about yourselves, tiny bit of intros of just who you are for the brand new people, or like I know you haven't been on the show for a while, Lou. So, you want to go next, maybe?
Yeah, I'll start first.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Pirate Ghost. I haven't been here in a while. I think this is my first time being on YouTube for the podcast.
Possibly.
Yeah, it might be.
We went to YouTube right before I moved, I think, like around the spring, and then it's just been so up all over the place since I left.
Yeah, it's definitely So it's definitely my first time on YouTube for the podcast. So, Pirateghostdj, you could find me on Twitch. I don't know why I pointed that way. Like Twitch is over there. You can find me on. It's somewhere over there. It's that way. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter. I'll be posting memes and stuff. I usually play games of the pirate and criminal variety. Any gangster games. That's my shit. Yeah. I also do artwork, which I'm doing artwork right now.
He is streaming art right now, which you can take a look. It's all the links for everybody also is below the stream. So if you want to see anyone's information after the show, you can find it there. And if you want to see the artwork on the second screen or something while you listen to us or watch us, just click the link for twitch.tv at Pirateghostdj. And you will see what he's making right now. Landon, you want to go next?
Sure. I gotta pull up my thing here. So I am the TheChimpmunkPunk, also known as Landon. I'm a variety Twitch streamer, and I primarily play shooters. So things like Halo, like we're talking about today. I also play a lot of Siege. And then I also like to play some story games to both entertain the community, and they like to scare the shit out of me. So that's what we do.
Because you love you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
And you know, one of my basically my main co-host for the show, forever reliable, Aggrobacon. For anyone who might be brand new, who are you, Mr. Bacon?
I am a comic writer and editor, and also one of the producers on Tabletop Collective, where I also do a lot of the voice work for the introductions and rules explanations and scenario layouts. I also stream on Twitch mostly now, Halo and Destiny, and yeah, that's you can find me on the links in the doobly-doo below.
Doobly-doo.
Yes. So, I started first grade intro, everyone. Thank you. For anyone who does not know me and this is the first time watching, I started this podcast a year and a half ago for ShowNet now, and we just talked all things from games to comics to films, shows, etc. It's a key to, any geekdom you want to be into, any fandom you want to be into. So, I have always been a massive Halo fan, and the series has a very personal connection for me. So, I was really excited for Infinite, and with how big the game is, and so many differences compared to normal or traditional Halo titles, I thought best would be to break this up into two parts, with part one being the multiplayer and part two being the story, as well as to give people a full week to actually play the story and not give spoilers, and B, because we've had a multiplayer since November 15th. So, people, I think if you wanted to try it, you would have tried it by now, and I would imagine most people have an impression of it by now, since that day, if they started then. So, yes, and there's no big content update on actual release for the story for the multiplayer, so nothing had changed. So, but
Minus adjustments to the season pass, but that's small.
yeah, tiny.
Much needed adjustments.
Oh yeah,
Much.
and I guess honestly nothing had changed because just today we got the announcement of Free for All, Team Slayer, SWAT, and Fiesta all coming on Tuesday.
Nice.
So that is nice. Also, our buddy Clue will be really happy about SWAT because he wants to do that with us. So we could do a SWAT custom games maybe next weekend.
Yeah, SWAT is my shit.
Yeah. So, alright, what is your relationship with Halo? First, kind of curious. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I guess I'll just get started. I've been playing Halo since Halo 2 back in like 2000 and God, 4. When was Halo 2 released? On the original Xbox, 2004. Okay,
Should be
it was 2004, 2005 is when I really was playing it. I did a lot of Halo 2 multiplayer, a lot of rocket launchers, energy swords, and DMRs, or DM.
Battle rifles, you're thinking of.
Battle rifle, yeah.
Yeah, DMR Reach.
DMR, yeah, they renamed it DMR and Reach.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time playing with that, doing a lot of rocket launcher fights, and custom games on Halo 2. That is definitely the peak. That is how I see peak Halo, is playing with your buddies, just shooting each other with rocket launchers and trying to kill each other from a distance or from up close with energy swords. That's how I feel Halo is meant to be played. It's not really, but It's not really, but that's my favorite portion of Halo was doing that.
I get that. My favorite memory is doing energy sword duels in Reach on platforms, and if you died, well, they would just fall to the ground and die. Or no, I think we would go to the next area, and then the old area would just disappear from the map. And it's like this, platform battle. It was great. I loved that shit.
That beach map in Halo 2, the one with the big gigantic wheel. That's
yes.
Yes.
That is my best memories. Where for Halo multiplayer, we're on that map. Just so much fun.
That's where legends were born, man.
Oh yeah.
It is. It is. I'll be honest. I didn't play a lot of Halo 1 multiplayer until a lot later, and I didn't. It was kind of after I started playing a little bit of Reach multiplayer, and then I stopped playing Reach multiplayer because I only really played it for like a couple months or so. So multiplayer isn't necessarily where I'm most ingrained in Halo because I never really did any 3 multiplayer. I feel bad about that. I played a little 4 and 5 multiplayer, despised it.
Fair.
Especially 5's multiplayer. But
As I always say, 5 is honestly like the multiplayer. It's not a bad multiplayer. The well-made multiplayer. It's honestly very well made. It's just not a good Halo multiplayer.
yeah,
Like if it's a different game, I think there'd be a much more positive reception to that multiplayer.
yeah, and I could definitely see that. Again, 5 multiplayer and 4's multiplayer, they were different enough, but I still kind of lump them together. I lump 4 and 5 together just because they're very similar feelings as far as how I have for them. But playing a lot of Infinite recently and getting back into Halo multiplayer, it's kind of rekindled that Halo 2 level vibe that I had. With you just have a lot of fun. You can play with your buddies. That might be because with COVID and everything, there's been a lot of sorry, I don't know if that's actually TOS to mention that, but
I don't think
with a lot of adjustment. Yeah, with a lot of adjustment towards
live.
having a lot stronger online presence for everyone.
The Backstreet Boys reunion tour, forcing everyone indoors.
Yeah. A lot of people being more inside. I've been able to play a lot more multiplayer with friends and buddies, and I have more people that I can actually do online stuff with access to higher speed connections. So there's a lot of positive benefits that are going for me actually being able to, play online again. So that's kind of rekindled that feeling of 2, and that's how that's my connection to Halo multiplayer, I guess.
Great summer. Who test?
When I was a wee pup, your Xboxes.
But you was a tiny piece of bacon.
We had your basic Dell office computer and the Halo Combat Evolved multiplayer demo.
Oh,
Oh Lord.
So yeah. So and that came out. I had a similar experience to Halo Combat Evolved as with Infinite because the multiplayer demo was out for a while before Evolved dropped. So for a while, it was straight up Capture Flag on Blood Gulch on crappy Dell computers for a long time. That entire experience was just so fantastic. The first time I experienced any sort of multiplayer, let alone a multiplayer shooter. And when Combat Evolved actually dropped, and I convinced my parentals to get a Xbox and into the story, it was such a unique setting that I just absolutely loved everything about it. I started buying the books, then played 2 and 3 nonstop religiously. For me, it was snipers on lockdown in Halo 2. That was our go-to. Long nights, tons of Mountain Dew, snipers lockdown.
I'm sorry, I just imagine like little tiny Tim. Like, Mommy,
Mother, please.
Halo.
Yes. Halo, please. More Halo, please. Exactly. No, that's pretty much it. Halo 3 came around. We got that super early on. Ended up getting to the point where I joined a team battles clan. So did the playbug ladders. Those were great. Halo 4 came out. Did not jive. Halo Reach I also was kind of meh on. So at that point I kind of switched over to Gears 2. Played a lot, and so did the rest of the clan. So we did team battles in Gears 2, Gears 3. Destiny came out. Played 4 and 5 for the campaign, but Destiny was that had that Bungie mouthfeel.
Wait.
So that's where I got. So.
Wait a minute. You said Halo 5 had a campaign. You're sure about that?
I'm not sure. It had something.
There were
There
words.
was elements of
Yes.
single-player interaction.
I remember there's a CGI Nathan Fillion, and I'm not sure what happened beyond that. Halo, so does become the main gem. But then Halo Infinite has rekindled that love for Halo 3. It has that same umami to it. Just playing a ton of that, feeling competitive again, like it's a game that I want to be competitive at. So started ranking, placed gold, and looking forward to climbing up to I don't know. And Landon and I, MLG 2022, look out for it.
Yes.
Oh shit!
That's a threat. Sounds like. Watch out.
I think I'll take it from there.
Think about it, and then I'll go last. I think.
So I like beef and the toxicity that that Halo 3 has stirred up. And honestly, I feel like I've grown as a person through that. You know how it's like a person that's forged through the fire and flames. That was Halo 3 for me. As far as multiplayer goes, I started on Halo 2 at first, like, and I was just like, I was really about the campaign. Like I love storylines, I love background and lore and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Halo 2 really kicked it off for me at first. But when it came to the multiplayer, Halo 3 was where it was at. And I had my crew, and it was pretty much like just like the 215 crew, just guys from Philly. It was like me, my boy Kyle, Dumpy K-Dog, and my other boy Lewis, another Lewis. And it was just us three rocking out, just slaying shit. And we got along with other clans as well. Coincidentally, also from Philly. But yeah, a lot of those, I just remember specifically just a lot of those lobbies and even the games itself just being real sweaty and just filthy with it. But at the same time, it like built character too. As like people, like you know, look at us now. Like we could take like internet criticism and internet trolling, like it just rolls off us now. Like motherfucker, I played Halo 3 back in the day. You ain't got shit compared to that. But and to see Halo Infinite come back now, and have that same like nostalgia of like how it was back then, really just it gives me goosebumps, honestly. So yeah, and now playing the game now, in terms of lore as well. Like I'm just fitting all the pieces together, you know. And I took my time, like my own time, to actually figure out the lore behind the whole thing, and it's like, holy crap!
Oh, the lore
You know what I mean?
is so great. I love the Yellow Universe's lore.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder too. Like, this is something I was actually wondering: is did the person who wrote the lore for Halo, like, figure this all out, like write this whole thing out before Halo 1 dropped? You know what I mean? Because it seemed like Halo 1 was like, you know, like the what's it called, like Space Marines, was kind of like a spin, sort of like a spin off of that. You know what I mean?
They took there's definitely a lot of throwbacks to aliens.
Right.
Like
right.
you look at Sergeant Apon and Sergeant Johnson. You look at the Pelican and the aliens dropship. I remember even like Halo never really had a dedicated APC until Wars. And I'm hoping we get with the Infinite campaign and guess multiplayer too. But they had concepts, like ideas for an APC in Halo 1, and I know they had one in Reach. You can go on a wiki and find it. And they both are called back to the Aliens APC from that film. So, like a lot of the original kind of like design language Especially UNSC harkens back to the Aliens movie.
Ooh, shit.
So,
see, that I didn't know, but
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Phil?
The more you know. It was the more you know.
Very true. Landon, you want to go next, buddy?
Okay, sure. So I've been also playing since the beginning. I've been playing about 20 years, which when they made that part of their campaign for Infinite made me feel horrendously old.
Yeah.
I'm not even 30 yet, so GG 343, appreciate it. But yeah, so it started. My uncle got one Christmas with my mom. They got together and they got me an Xbox with Combat Evolved. And on Christmas Day, him and I played probably for like 4 hours, going through the campaign, doing whatever we could. And it was so much fun. Over time, I played 2. Got it really late though. I didn't get into the Xbox Live scene until like mid life of Halo 3. Until then, I was like going over to friends' houses and playing and doing what I could. But Halo 3, I started taking things a little more seriously and trying to play games. So I gave it a shot at competitive, even though I was not old enough. Did all right. Wasn't great. Would stay up all night, school nights, whenever I could, going over to the friend's house, and it was tons of fun. Lots of memories were made. Lots of friends were made. I also have some feelings about 4 and 5. I try not to acknowledge them as much as possible. Reach, I thought was fantastic. I think personally, Reach and ODST, I think were 2 really important stories that were told, and incredible multiplayer experiences.
Oh yeah, and I would ask you for like as time goes on with I guess my relationship with this franchise, right? It feels each year I gain more of an appreciation for ODST.
Yeah.
Like, I really love that game, and especially the soundtrack. Like the soundtrack to ODST is so beautiful in my mind. It's only 3 Halo soundtracks I bought off the bat, or Reach. It does not really have to. I don't have all the Reach. It was Halo, or 4 Halo Legends, the anime. We did the sort of unique shots and that that's amazing in my mind. Halo 3, because the first Halo is really, I felt really, it's the one that introduced me to Halo. And then Infinite, basically, just because I heard a few songs from it, I'm like, okay, I gotta pre-order this immediately. And I'm happy I did. And then ODST, because there's something about that atmosphere of ODST was so different compared to the rest that I adore it so much. But but no, I kind of took off their lantern, sorry. So
that's okay.
Anything, Esther.
I mean, the only real thing left is like now that Infinite's come out, and I feel like it feels like old style Halo play. I think a lot of us may talk about that once we get into the kind of deeper portion of the episode.
Of course.
But a lot of the feel that I have has resemblances of Halo 3, so I decided to try to get back into the competitive scene this time. And it feels good. It feels very good to not be bad at a game that is out right now. So it's been a very interesting experience.
That is just me left. My relationship to Halo, and I've told a story before, is I remember going to a friend's house for her birthday, but I was like, I don't know, 10 or something. Got into it late, and we were playing Halo 3 multiplayer on his birthday, and I remember what sold me, I'm like, I gotta try this game out, was Sandtrap and the Elephant. And this will always be that. I thought it was so cool that you had a mobile-based vehicle driving around a sand map, and we did chapters things in it.
I forgot about that.
I love that thing so much. And then after that day, I really wanted Halo 1 and 2. I'm trying to remember which one I played first. I believe it was Halo 1. Because I know Microsoft's big exclusives was Gears and Halo, and I remember playing Gears 2 first before Gears 1. Mostly because it came with an S-box after my old one was stolen by a robber. But there's another weird story. Guy took an S-box and left a ton of jewelry and a whole bunch of other stuff. Seems like we just scared him off by the TheChimpmunkPunk. But
when you know what you want it.
exactly. I don't think they stole the Team and Team movie. There's an S-Bots, but whatever. Um, but no, it was Halo 3, and I played 1 and 2, but I didn't really play much of the multiplayer bit, like what you're saying, Landon, right? Like, my folks were also, like my first sandbox game was Simpsons Hit and Run.
Oh God.
Yeah, I know. So, like, they were a little nervous about online and all this other stuff and fun games. So, like, I know I played a bit of Halo 3 multiplayer, but I just didn't fully delve into it. What I really delved into was Reach, though.
Yeah.
Partly because that year, and I mentioned this before too, I got incredibly sick to the point I couldn't even go to school for fear of my health. So I was pretty much home for most of the year, and I played a lot of Halo Reach. And most of my memories are from that game. And like I don't think I'm as sour for as a lot of the rest of the community is. There's definitely a lot of problems with it, and there's definitely a lot of things that annoy me off the bat. But I still remember I was at least still really interested in the lore pulled me in so much that I was still excited for like the Spartan Ops episodes each week. I remember playing those after release some nights, which was really bad for my stool at the time. But I remember playing 5, and like I said earlier today, is I think Halo 5 had a good multiplayer in all honesty, but not for a Halo game. I think if you put a whole different paint, skin on that, call it completely something different, right? Like mechanically, the multiplayer is not horrible, but it's not a good Halo game, and its story was horrible.
This is gonna be a really weird deep cut, but honestly, Halo 5 played like tribes, which I like. I'm one of 30 people that's played tribes, but it's the movement that being based on like a lot of like high pass movement, the jetting and skating around. It was a tribes game, but without the tribes personality. So it.
Interesting. I gotta look it up later now. Should.
Yeah.
But at my biggest memory of Halo Reach, honestly, was not competitive for me. The multiplayer, yeah, they had some nice, great, fun little moments, like mentioned, did right before we got on the air. Maybe it was on air. But one of my 2 cleanest memories of it were both with the Energy Sword. One was Energy Sword duels on Forge World in a custom games lobby. And the other one was doing Lone Wolf, the last mission I reached, with my best friend at the time. And I had a whole gatekeeper to reach all the time with, and 2 of our other guys died, and we were like, okay, we just pulled Energy Swords out, just ran in, and just died back to back, and that's still a memory I have. But honestly, the big thing that really drew me to Halo on the multiplayer side was the custom games, was the community, was Forge. Seeing these amazing creations people made of statues and game modes. It's a horrible name for custom games. And not okay, really. But I still love the game mode of Fat Boy with ultra mega zombie at the bottom, and you just going up and infecting people, and you're in a tower, you just have to survive. I loved that. I remember, .cons, I remember racing, crazy race maps people made. There's so much creativity. And 3 had a lot of it, but Reach, I feel, has such a peak with that. Where, I know that there's a ton of custom games in 1 and 2, but after Forge was added, you had such these tools that you can make such unique environments for these, Like, for example, Griffball became a big thing. I'm a bird flirty with reach. They even developed the gravity hammer to help, like, with Griffball in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you don't know what Griffball was, it was basically you had a hammer, the gravity hammer, where you kind of like push people or kill them, and you would basically, a team of 5 versus another team of 5 would fight over a bomb, and you basically have to plant the bomb at the opposite end zone. So, it was a great game mode. But, I've always loved Yellow. I only really read North of Audits so far, a bit of Fall of Reach, but I want to read the rest of my novels. I want to cover 2 separate trilogies on this show, which is the For Honor trilogy and a Kilo 5 trilogy. I love Red vs. Blue. I've watched it all. I covered the first 5 seasons with a friend. They were planning to do more. I'm a massive fan of the series, and I think I always will be. And if it is, it's definitely a return to form that we have missed for a long time now.
Yeah.
Over a decade, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
So, or nearly, I think, because Halo 4 came out in 2012, I think. And in 2021 now, almost 2022. Someone want to pull it up, or I can do that quickly.
Yep, 2012.
So
We
yeah,
have the technology.
Yep.
nearly a decade. So
Yeah.
that's a long time, but
Crazy.
it's nice to see us.
Oh, stop making me feel old.
I know.
I don't like it. Because it's like, oh yeah, we're celebrating 20 years of Halo. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Wait,
Hold
I've
on.
accomplished nothing.
Oh,
20 years, you say?
I
Well,
will also say, totally random-ish, but it's just Halo related. So did that for 20-year anniversary. I love that they added the original concept armor in the MCC, and they also added the SPI armor from the Ghost of Honest book back there, which was the first Halo novel I read, and still has one of my favorite Spartans, Kurt 51.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I was happy that they put the Duke controllers in as shoulder pads.
All right. That was a lot of intro, but we have a lot of people here, so I think I took the most time. But
Oh, do we? Wait. Can you send me the link? I want to actually see it on YouTube.
oh yeah, sure, of course. It's on Twitter.
Oh, all right. I'll do that.
It's on Twitter. Yeah,
Mhm.
I posted. Yeah, I also CC'd you with Tim, Pirate.
I see.
Yeah, Phil, and that did all of us. So yeah. But we first impressions. What do you guys first think of the multiplayer, and what do you think of it now? I guess let's just go to order we've been doing. So I guess Phil first, then Tim, then Lou, then Landon. So
Yeah.
and then me.
Just as far as first impressions on multiplayer,
Yeah.
I haven't gotten into the actual competitive scene yet. Unlike Aggro and a couple other people here, I haven't really touched the competitive yet. I did like what Pirate was talking about with the teabagging. I've seen a lot of that. That's been pretty funny to see, and hearing people's reactions, like why has this been happening to me, is also been really hilarious. But as far as playing it, I will say that I think this has definitely been the strongest Halo, at least multiplayer, we've seen since Reach or even 3. Just as far as maneuverability, there's a lot of free-flowing movement. The weapon balancing could be a little bit different, and that's something that we definitely need. I mean, that's definitely hopefully going to be addressed over time.
Yeah, it needs to be
Because right now,
tweaked.
it does feel like, if you empty a whole clip into somebody, they should probably be dead. But
That part.
Yes.
You just gotta click on the head.
bullet sponges.
Also that part.
Bullet sponginess is not definitely. It's definitely not the way you want to have a multiplayer play. I'm definitely a fan of playing like hardcore and COD series. I like the feeling of being able to take somebody out real quickly, or being taken out instantly if I'm an idiot, or if I do something dumb. That's more how I like to play personally. But I have been really enjoying. I've been really enjoying the Halo multiplayer experience so far as we have it in vanilla. The battle pass being at least tweaked to be a little bit better with the numbers has really helped too, because I was really salty about that. Currently, rewards are also not necessarily as rewarding as I would like them to be, and the missions also kind of can suck sometimes, but just as far as how it feels overall, this is definitely the strongest Halo multiplayer I've seen since I've played, since at least Reach. It's definitely been the strongest multiplayer since then.
I want to add to one little point before you go ahead, Tim, is, what you and I were talking, Phil, before we got on air, like before everyone joined up, and, I mentioned, and I'm going to reiterate right now, of, a lot of games these days release with maybe not as much content as you like, or a bit of issues, or maybe a little balance, a little weirdness, or whatever it may be. But things like, think Anthem or Avengers, where you would kind of have this live service type game, right? The base DNA was not really strong enough to really keep it running until things improved for the better. Compared to something like, I remember, and Tim, I bet I would love to hear your thoughts on this when you go in a minute. It's like when Destiny, or especially Destiny 2 launched, I recall people saying things were missing certain things, or, we don't have enough like what we used to, or, it's a disaster, but the base DNA was still extremely strong, and look at where it is now. And I think we can all agree that the base DNA for Infinite is really good. For both the multiplayer and the campaign gameplay, which we'll talk about next week. But the foundation is extremely strong.
Yeah, and I could... sorry, Aggro, I'll let you speak in half a second. I'm just going to finish up my thoughts.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as far as what we were talking about earlier, that's definitely plays a big part into how I've been feeling about the Infinite multiplayer and campaign, but again, next week. So just as far as overall strength, it's definitely been a lot better than a lot of modern releases too, which I think also really helps the multiplayer mouthfeel. Oh, sorry. Now you can go back.
The core being there and working so well, I think, really is the first sign that we're looking at a strong future, given 343's stated intention to have Infinite be the platform for the next 10 years of Halo content. I mean, that was the whole thing, like, with Destiny 2, everyone said, like, it's still Destiny, but the content there was lacking. So, comparing Infinite to other multiplayer games that have launched at the same span, I mean, the biggest complaints we've had are, like, things need a little tweaking. Like, you can tweak the balancing, you can tweak the pass, but no one said, like, this mode is wrong, this gun is wrong, the gameplay is wrong anyway. But you're looking at something like Battlefield 2042, and like, I don't understand how these maps work at all. Or I don't understand how these servers work, and apparently they don't.
And that's how they work. They don't.
Yeah, and Vanguard, where Call of Duty, someone managed to botch Call of Duty gunplay. It's and everyone was like, Vanguard does not, the gunplay is not there.
Oh no. Oh no.
Like, it's not even in the same galaxy. It's bad.
Yeah. But everyone I talked to, like, on the Halo Reddit, outside of the weird toxicity happening with the Zoomers and the Boomers going at each other, but everyone's like, everyone's like, major, like, I could do a little tweaking there. No one's like raging at Infinite for whatever reason.
Well, that's something we will talk about, because there's been some people it wasn't really in his notes, but we should at some point later talk a little bit about the toxicity in that some people are, throwing at the devs, because it's a bit ridiculous and highly inappropriate. And debatably a bit dangerous, honestly.
Wait, at the devs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it was bad.
Like, they shut down Reddit.
Yeah.
For
and
the
like,
game.
yeah, staff members were deleting their social media. It was bad.
Wow,
It was really bad.
really? All right, I haven't seen any of that. That's crazy.
Even though
Yeah.
the multiplayer is definitely, like we're all saying, much better than 4 or 5.
Mhm.
The art direction's better, the multiplayer is better. Like, doesn't mean not going fully in. It's a, even though we're not talking top paid today, as usual, break a few little rules here. Also because it's the only example I can think of. But I remember seeing like on Steam, right?
Mhm.
Someone did a giant rant of like, I don't need emo chief. I don't want all his feelings and gooey shit and like
Yeah.
about the campaign. Like,
I posted on Twitter when I beat the campaign, and I think, well, Halo's has always been Halo 1, narratively, not a whole lot going on. There's more so like an experiment in world building.
yes.
Yeah.
But Halo 2 onward, it was always a very personal story about the relationship between Master Chief and Cortana, and
Yeah.
how things rolled. And 4 or 5 got a little wacky. Infinite did a good job of just kind of brushing that away. So that's a thing I'll say for the single player talk, but but the multiplayer and single player is structured in such a way, and also we can kind of tell with 5 never being added into MCC, 343 is kind of like you can all just forget Halo 5, just uninstall that from your brain. We're not going to go there. And Halo 4 to some extent too. It is designed in such a way that if you played Halo 3, you can go straight into Infinite,
Yeah.
and you're there.
And like they hinted some stuff about, like they don't fully erase 5. Like it's definitely a part of that story and that world.
Yeah, if you want some of that world building too, like you can get more of that in the audio logs, which I appreciated. But
yeah.
But the first section on the multiplayer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
And,
Multiplayer this week. Multiplayer this week.
yep.
For me, it's the best entry in the Halo franchise since 3. The gunplay is super solid. And it's something where it is entirely skill based, which I have always liked about the Halo franchise. And something to point out. Well, I don't like loadout systems, and what I didn't like about COD necessarily is the fact that you had to have so many hours in already in order to compete with other people to get unlocks. Playing something like Valorant or Rainbow Six, it's a purchase in skill. So you spend time unlocking operators or champions, or you buy them with cash straight from the get. Whereas Halo 5, it's like you spawn in, whatever's on the map is even Stevens. Like you go at it, find your power weapons. Yeah, it's all about knowing your positioning, knowing your power weapon control, and the gunplay still plays the same. I made a mistake though of. It also proves that it is so skill based. I did my entire placement matches running at 25 frames, capped at 25 frames instead of going up to above 60.
But why?
But I'm still going like 12 and 2.
Okay.
So it's like,
a dub is a dub.
okay, that was a dub. I'm like, why is my frame rate capped at 25? So second night I push that up, I'm like, oh, this is much better. But having it feel so tight in on the core Halo experience, which is map control, power weapon timing, team firing, clicking on heads. They're like, if you're using an assault rifle, are you doing weapon pacing or are you spraying? Because there's going to be key determinants on how you're engaging each whatever.
I'm a sprayer.
Yeah, and that may also be why.
Worse than it is. But
Yeah.
it is.
Yes. And that's also probably why you're dumping people clips is because the pacing on the assault rifle is a skill you have to develop, and you have to get those bursts just right in order to make sure you're managing your recoil.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so. It's Halo. It's so tight in on the Halo experience that I don't know how else to explain it other than it's
Halo.
It's 8 dudes on a map going for power weapons, doing whatever wacky shenanigans involves. But the inclusion of the armor abilities having them be pickups with limited use has really done a lot to expand on the Halo experience without necessarily jumping the shark. Like, no armor locking is a big thing for me.
Oh yeah.
But also the grapple shot just feels so good. Being able to like ghost jack someone like on hardpoint or whatever, or getting I have a clip on my Twitch, but doing like 2 grapple assassinations on oddball back to back.
Ooh.
Super satisfying.
Ooh.
No, that's nice. I know, like, it's really, it's very smart and great kind of fusion between the armor abilities from Reach and then, you know, the equipment from 3. You know?
Yeah.
Into where you really, I feel, nurture both gameplay types into intricacies of Mr. I think. So, yeah. Tim, anything else, or should Pirate go nest?
I think that's about all I get. It feels like a great return to form. It expands in ways that are understandable and well executed, and it has just as satisfying a casual experience as it does a competitive experience. I haven't had any issues with like feeling like it's mismatched in a competitive match so far, and I haven't really had any like weird server issues get in the way, so it's just felt tight all the way around.
Yeah. Bruh, I don't know about you guys, but there was one game I played, and I think we're playing like not CTF, but it was just like capturing zones, and I was doing my work, and then out of nowhere I get killed, and I'm thinking, it's we're playing a cordial game, and then I get teabagged, right?
Yep.
They had to show you who you were with.
Dude,
Dominance.
you know what's crazy?
What?
I didn't get mad. I was like, huh,
No.
this is kind of nice. This is kind of nice. Wow. I haven't seen this in forever.
Yeah.
Like, all right, like, how it's like you kind of just lean back, and then that happens. It's like, all right, now we gotta get it real.
That's when he closes his suit jacket, adjusts his tie,
Okay, all right.
rolls up his sleeves.
Now we're playing. So, yeah, like honestly, like, yeah, it feels like it's just like, oh man, welcome home.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like the game's just well balanced. Honestly, like I feel like it's just well balanced. Like it's like, honestly, if something's bad in as far as like the gunplay is concerned, you're probably bad. Like personally for me, like I started messing around with the sniper, and I feel like I was better at sniping in 3, you know, and I was able to get those shots off and like that. But now it's just like it feels like I have to really aim for me to get that shot. You know,
I've been feeling that too.
Yeah.
More satisfying though than when you pop ahead. It's like,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
Oh, I did it!
Yeah.
So
Especially with that.
So it's kind of like if it's not the sniper, I was like, damn, like what, like the sniper's fucking like I'm fucking missing, and it's like I'm blaming it all on me. It's like I'm bad, 100%. Like, but I clearly remember at the same time 3 and 4 were much easier on the snipers than it is now. So in that sense, it was like I could feel the balance, like it's well placed. I saw an article, in addition to the balancing, I saw an article where people were complaining about the Warthog being like weird to drive. And I was like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is the same driving mechanics that has always been. And I was just like, yo, get good. Get fucking good. What do you mean?
The Warthog feels fine to me.
Where you
It's a
put the cursor,
little-
you go. It's the
Yeah, like it's a little off, but it's not off enough to be like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like people don't understand like the
More-
like the whole thumbstick driving was like, dude, that's the
Always.
Warthog.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
the combat evolved Warthog was rough to get used to.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
anything now
Yeah.
feels like butter.
Agree.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's a whole lot better this Warthog because, I mean, before even I was having difficulty being able to adjust it, especially if you go off on like a jump, being able to adjust it so you land properly. Like since I've been doing that with in multiplayer in the campaign, it's like it feels a whole lot better, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Dude, I'm more of a gunner anyway, and
Yeah.
even like the gun is just like, oh, I've been rinsing people with that, man.
In all
Yeah.
honesty, if any vehicle that feels a little weird flying or driving, a part of me feels the Wasp. Like it doesn't feel as agile as it was in 5. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
I'll say that.
I'm wrong about that. I'm gonna have to go back to 5 and really compare the two.
the Banshee, I
and a
mean, maybe I just
Banshee
haven't driven the Banshee in a long time, but yeah, it feels a whole lot different driving the Banshee.
The Banshee
is.
does too.
Not that I hate it, but it just feels a whole lot different.
But
you know?
like last night, and like I have really piloted the air vehicles now because after I finished the campaign, I was just looting and looking for hidden options and whatnot, and of course logically, it makes more sense to grab the air vehicle and fly around everything, so I'm not limited by height. And when my Wasp was destroyed, I would sometimes lure a Banshee, grapple it, hijack it, and fly around. So I got, a lot of time with both vehicles. They
Yeah.
both feel a little
Have
weird.
have you grappled a Banshee in multiplayer? Because there's nothing more
That's
not
satisfying.
yet.
Not yet,
Nothing more
not yet.
satisfying.
Not
Oh my
a-
goodness. I've done it once, but when I did it, I was just like, okay, I'm done. I've peaked.
That's about- I got that. I got a triple kill no scope with snipers on CTF. I was like, I'm retiring.
That's great.
Oh yeah, that right there is like, all right, I could put the game down for a good minute. I could go to bed and sleep well.
My one I really enjoyed was, I'm trying to think, I think I did this by now, was, enemy hopped on gun, right? I
Oh,
drive
yeah,
off
you drive
cliff,
off with.
I grapple out, and I'm alive.
Yep,
But
that is also.
great.
Real quick, going back to weapons though,
Yeah, go ahead.
sword.
Mm,
You gotta earn that fucking kill.
Oh
man.
yeah.
yeah.
Like if someone kills you with a sword, it's kind of just like, all right, they deserve it, because it's like I've trying to kill someone with a sword. It like compared to like the previous ones, like you lunge like across the fucking map.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. There's
No.
the lack of any melee lunge at all. Really,
Yeah.
I feel like for the
now it's like a slight lunge, like if
Yeah,
anything.
Tiny lunge.
Much
know?
smaller.
like this for the controller tone and feel that they're going for, it makes so much more sense. But it does take some getting used to.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, as you know, this is my best moment in Infinite Sun, actually. Because I remember, like, a week and a half ago, Phil and
were
Tim and
playing,
I, we were all playing, and I was just, like, yapping my mouth off. He had to get, like, a 7-kill streak with an energy sword. Just right around a map.
You
Slicing
had like
Yeah.
people up.
4 kills and 2 deaths or something like that. That
Oh,
game. It was
God.
just like, oh,
Wow.
all right.
Oh god, yeah,
So-
no,
And down
absolutely.
with the sword, but, like, that thing is dangerous. You don't know how to fight it. But it's not the easiest to get kills with anymore. I agree with that.
Yeah,
And,
De-
no, go ahead.
yeah,
And
no,
then-
definitely not as easy to get kills with that anymore. Which honestly I appreciate.
Yeah.
Because man, I remember like if anyone got the sword back then, like you may as well just hang it up. Like,
Oh, yeah.
what
It's really satisfying meleeing somebody as they're lunging you with the sword and killing them before they can hit
That
you.
I've done that, and that is great.
I've never seen that. I've never
That
even
is-
seen that.
I've done that a couple of times. One time also I assassinated somebody with the sword when they had the sword, so it was just like, well, you don't deserve it anymore. You lost the privilege.
Yeah. Speaking of assassinations, do they have the assassination animations or no?
No.
No, it's back to the ninja backslap.
Ah, no, man, dude,
It's-
no.
I've heard of some things that it possibly will be brought back in an
Please,
update for
please do.
customization, but at the moment,
Getting
none of
that-
them.
dude, getting that assassination animation off was like literally busting a nut to me. Like,
Yes.
That was pretty
Especially
cool.
the one where they come down here and just smack you.
yes,
Oh, it was just so
catch you in the
satisfying.
air and shit.
The ones
my God.
I've always loved is the energy sword having its unique animations.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, yes.
That
The
was
Sparta kick one
always-
was my favorite.
Yeah. Also, since you mentioned teabagging earlier, I want to point something out too. It's I saw a video, right, of like someone doing like 4-on-1. Like this guy's team completely abandoned him, right?
Oh yeah.
And did you see this, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah. And you know, the team of 4 killed, you know, the guy, and one of them started teabagging him, and a teammate of him just like shot him and punched him, like lay off. He's one man. He's alone.
There's a code to the teabag.
Oh, yeah. There's
yeah.
definitely a respect in the game.
Oh wait, it was 4 versus 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, you don't deserve. You can't
You
teabag. someone
you
for that.
teabag somebody when it's like this is a well-earned kill. I did
Yes.
this. Even Steven, I'm better than you. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
people versus 1. That's saying like, oh, look at me. I'm so cool teabagging the person who's at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But like that respect, I feel there's a level of respect back to the community that we haven't had in a while
Oh, yeah.
too. Which,
It's a heavily ingrained thing in the community, which is nice.
I like the idea. I like the idea of like in my head. It's like this is clearly like a Zoomer. Like that's
Oh,
that's
yeah,
been
yeah.
doing this. It's like, hey guys, I'm twerking on them. it's like no, dude, like what are you talking, motherfucker?
Violence, child. Bah!
Oh my god, I was there when it was written.
You cannot speak the deep magic of me.
No, but but yeah, like all that said, like it's the game's just really balanced. Honestly, if something's bad, you're probably bad, like straight up, and you just need to get good. Yeah, if anything, they really need to add is just those assassination animations because I need that. I need that, man.
I need it.
I need it.
you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So I agree to a certain point. It's you guys have mentioned a couple things that I had listed here, specifically non-surplus. You brought up a point that I'm glad that you said, because there's a lot of interesting points when people come from other shooter games into Halo, and that was a common contention point for people was time to kill. So TTK. It was a big complaint for a lot of COD players, a lot of Battlefield players, and even some Siege players. And I get it to a degree, but I also will say that it's a different style of play. So there's shields, and not a lot of people account for that. So they'll have like ammo that is heavier in certain cases, or they'll have armor plates and stuff like that. So you knock a little bit down, but they're not used to essentially a whole meter you have to shoot down before you can kill somebody. So I do understand that. Now, what I will say though is this is kind of in a disagreement with both Aggro and Pirate, is that to a degree you are correct about the weapon balancing, and that if you're not getting kills, you're probably bad. And I agree with that for a lot. What I will say though is I don't know if anybody else was available to take part in the tech previews, but I was very thankful to be part of that. And I did some weapon testing. And I did that weapon testing because I had a hunch, and I knew things that weapon balancing, while not the most important thing in the game, was something that I wanted to be sure of was going to be a point for competitive play. Now, comparing that with the sidekick and the commando, and that's something I've harped on since the beginning, those two weapons are the exact same damage, and they should not be. And that's bullshit. Now, what I will say is that since the tech preview to now, with launch, the commando and the sidekick both got a mag increase. The problem is they're still the same damage.
That's not good.
It's not good at all.
And I remember,
And
I'm surprised you haven't mentioned the Ravager also.
now there was some weapons I didn't get a chance to test fully because we only had a short amount of time for those previews. But the core weapons, so like things like it acting like a sidearm.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, the commando and
I had to look up those guns. I had to look up those guns, but really they're the same damage? That's
exact
crazy.
same. So with headshot kills specifically, it's 7 headshots for both.
I was honestly wondering why I was getting like headshot kills with a pistol. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Now, traditionally, the pistol has been strong, so that's not really a problem.
Yeah.
But with the commando specifically, when you're using it and the way it sounds and the way it fires, you feel when you're having it on full automatic, it's a beefy gun, and it's not.
Yeah.
Now you can single fire it. It feels like it's supposed to be a replacement DMR. Really not there yet, and it's a weapon balancing thing. It's a very solvable issue, but that's something that a lot of people tend to not really bring up. Is that there are certain weapon balancings that just aren't there yet.
Yeah. See, some of the guns do need a lot of tweaking.
Right.
But what I think is really interesting, it almost forced like a change in mindset, because if people played like 3 and 2, but I think reached something like the classic new combo running a Magnum and the Gun Pistol.
They're totally different.
Totally different, but we are kind of back to that same idea of the meta where if you're picking up a plasma weapon, you're not going for kills. That's strictly utility to knock down shields before you switch back to a kinetic weapon.
Right.
And I think it's kind of weird.
I think the only change that I would make to that, if it's kind of like a little bit of an identity issue with multiplayer and specifically with those weapons, is it feels like they're trying to please the people who are wanting the pistol to be stronger. And they're also trying to make it to be an actual secondary, which is fine. There are plenty of games that have secondaries, and if it wants to be less weapon damage for that, perfectly acceptable, but it has to act like it. And if you're going to have what seems to be a primary be functional as a secondary, then that doesn't really work. Now, kind of back on the note of time to kill, there was something that I kind of noticed in the technical preview that's been lessened in the live, but still there. And that's, I got the vibe as the matches were going on, as firefights were taking place, that their entire model for this one was how can we make it feel like the firefight is doing more than it is, but also make it feel longer than it is. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but it feels a little longer to get somebody in certain situations. Or some of them it's like pretty instantaneous. But the general round of the match, there's been plenty of times where it's a simple Slayer match, or it's an oddball match, or it's a capture the flag match. And it's not like this long, drawn out, huge, ravenous thing. It's like it's only been 2 minutes, but it feels like it's been 10. And because a lot has happened in that, but not a lot has gone up on the scoreboard yet. So I don't know if anybody's noticed that.
A little bit.
Thinking about it now,
yeah.
And it's like
weird.
It's not a problem, but it's something that could be. And I get it because they want people to spend a lot of time on the game. Now, couple that with an issue that people have with progression, that can be seen as a bad thing. Especially if you feel like you're doing a whole lot more and you're not earning anything out of it.
People have been saying that.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say like the leveling up is kind of like it's kind of a grind. Like holy shit.
Yeah, and it's been a large contention point, and that was a lot of the reason why. Now again, none of us agree with treating people this way, but that was a large reason why that people were going and attacking the devs because it felt very predatory and it was horribly planned out. Do I think it was a developer issue? Not entirely. I think that's a management issue because.
Agreed.
And I'll talk about it a little bit more later in the next couple sections that we have, but I get it as a live service game. You have to make money, especially it being free to play.
Of course.
I get that. I have no issue with being charged for certain things like that because it has to run. It's fine.
And you have to consider, to release all these campaigns that, there will be a price tag to them. But they have to fund development, they have to fund animation, cutscenes.
Well, like all the servers and stuff too is they have to. At the end of the day, they're not there to create a fun experience. They're there to make money. So I get it. But then we have issues where in the Tenrai event, you're getting charged $15 for one weapon cosmetic that's a belt. Like 15 real world dollars.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. But I think there's a lot to improve with it. I love it. With that said, I love this game. I think it's gone incredibly back to its roots of multiplayer. And there's just small tweaks and changes that, like I said, we'll get into shortly. But
the next segment is us talking about what we like, what we don't. And kind of does even like specific sandbox stuff. If there's any weapons or vehicles someone wants to specifically point out, they are welcome to. That at the time for that, and as well as I put in a game modes, weapon, vehicles, etc. Like, what do you like? What do you want to see changed or improved or added? So, also nice to the daughters.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I don't know if that dinner's.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think it's done. No?
Right.
So yeah. Also, Latin, do you
Yeah.
have any thoughts on Ravager?
Yes, he was thinking
Done.
about that. Do we
Like
have like a
from-
room? You said you let them know that he would be possibly stopping by. Do we have like a room number or? Okay.
Do you guys hear that?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
What is that?
There's something going on in my background. I'll mute myself real quick.
You're good.
Okay.
I was like, the Ravager specifically, I think it's a very interesting weapon. I don't really play with it too much. I'd like to do some more testing, but I think what it feels like it's trying to do is combine a couple different weapons we've seen over the course of Halo.
Yeah.
So like area of effect things, like the fire grenades from Halo 3.
Mm.
They're trying to have a little bit of like fuel rod ish, and then giving it the AoE and having it where you can charge it and completely blast it out. So it's like combining things that the plasma pistol does, but they still have the plasma pistol.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting one, but I don't really hate it. I don't really love it. It's just kind of there.
No,
Yeah.
I was going to comment on a couple of other things that
Yeah.
Chipmunk had kind of been talking about time to kill and
can
weapons.
I
It's
mention?
a lot of
I don't want to mention one thing on the Ravager then, quickly.
Yeah,
Before we
yeah,
go
go
to
ahead.
one thing. It's just that I fully agree with you, Chipmunk. The main reason I asked you because you said you did some of the, pre-testing, right?
Mhm.
And I remember hearing that the damage was significantly reduced for the Ravager since then. Like, it originally, hit hard. And now it takes much longer to get a kill with it.
I don't know if it was a Ravager, but there was something that I did test in the preview. I have to go back in the stream and look because I ended up archiving them.
I was going to say that I thought the Ravager was a new weapon.
It is.
Yeah,
but-
it is.
Yeah. I kind of get why they might reduce the damage on it because it's, and as far as like meta is concerned, it feels more like an area of denial utility. Like you're not trying to nuke single guys down, you're just trying to get that spread down objective. So you're essentially just wiping shields if someone's trying to like walk near a flag or whatever.
Yeah, and you need to be able to get out of that. It shouldn't be a pretty much insta kill.
No, I don't disagree. I'm just saying I noticed that. For whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and same with there's a lot of other weapons that I feel like have some kind of really odd TTK, things like the shock rifle. Maybe I'm just really bad with it, but like the shock rifle, for instance, it has a really awkward.
The shock rifle is one that is it's interesting because it is you get this if you play the campaign because they explain a little more, but shock weapons are specifically anti-vehicle utility.
Yeah.
Because if you hit someone with a banshee on it, they're dropping out of the air. If you hit someone with a ghost with it, they can shut down. You can still get a one-shot headshot with it.
Yeah.
Which I have done a couple times, but yeah, the main utility for that is going to be anti-vehicle, which I think might be the first time we've had something specifically anti-vehicle designed to only be anti-vehicle.
Yeah.
In Halo, because like the rocket launcher, yes, you can use it to take on a Scorpion, but it's much more gratifying to get like a jump kill launching it through a window somewhere, and some guy just happens to be at the wrong place, wrong time.
I would say there are only two real anti-vehicle kind of things, or three, that we've had in the past. There's the plasma pistol, which somewhat. B, the grenade launcher from Halo Reach.
Yep.
Because that honestly
yeah.
did not feel great against actual people. I found that was hard to actually get a hit on. But with the vehicle, it was made to be anti-vehicle, I think. And then I think many Halo fans could argue this, but I'm going to say it's Spartan Laser. Because
100%.
Yeah.
with normal people.
And then the targeting.
Oh yeah, the targeting detonator too. Yeah, it would definitely anti-vehicle, but like the laser, you could do that with normal people, and when you got it, it felt satisfying because it was hard to line that thing up. But it was made to take out vehicles.
See, those types of weapons are what I call nutbuster weapons, because like it takes like forever to load or forever to reload or whatever. And it's like if you miss, you miss. Like it's a wrap for you. But if you get that shot,
the skewer.
Yeah.
The skewer. I was just gonna say,
so much fun. Oh my! Getting a kill with the skewer.
Yes.
Yeah.
nutbuster weapon right there,
Yeah.
man.
It is. It is. It's
100%.
getting. I mean, there's weapons like the skewer too that are really fun, and if you miss, those are real skill-based weapons. I mean, like the
Yeah.
sniper rifle.
Yeah.
The skewer I think is probably one of the more skill-based weapons as far
Yes.
as single shots.
I was in a
Um,
shock rifle too because you
I was-
can't
I
get
was-
a
and
one
the
hit
shock rifle.
headshot.
Yeah,
I was gonna say the shock rifle is definitely. I've been using it honestly. I've been using that as a sniper. Like
Yeah,
I thought that
it
was
can
a
be.
sniper
It
rifle.
works. It's a
Yeah.
sniper.
if you look at it, it actually does say that it's a sniper rifle.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It
So
says it's a sniper rifle.
so it's
Yeah.
kind of like that's also I would consider it to be a nutbuster weapon because it's like if you miss, you gave yourself away. Like that, your position's gone. You know, because everyone saw that shit.
Especially a big blue beam. Big blue
Yeah,
electrical.
see a blue ass fucking beam across the map. It's like, let's go get him.
Yeah.
He's right there. He's right there. Come on, come on.
Come on, let's go. So, but yeah, man.
Have you guys used much of the nail gun too? Because I think that's also. I
Oh,
don't
or a
remember what it's
mangler.
called.
That's
The
it.
mangler, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, the mangler is
yeah.
so much
That's
fun.
it. It's a
Yes.
skill-based
There's
weapon
nothing
for
more
sure.
satisfying than just walking over to somebody and then just shooting a couple, nails into the back of their head, and then.
Oh,
kind of-
that gun, dude.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, it has it's skill. It's still a skill-based weapon, I'd say. But it's one of the more skill-based weapons because it has the arc. It has much
Yeah,
more of an
it
arc.
has an arc and has a very narrow point of impact. It doesn't have a lot of spread. Yeah.
Honestly, I'll be honest with you. I thought I was kind of dumb with it, and I thought it was the what's the other brute weapon? That was like a shotgun.
Yeah,
What
the
the fuck?
Mauler.
The Mauler.
The Mauler. I
Yeah,
thought it was
like
that,
thing.
and I've
I
been
keep
using it
calling it
as
that.
as that.
I would like
Like,
to
I
see
was like,
that.
How come I'm not hitting him? Like my aim's like, oh shit, he's over here. I'm like, what the fuck? But I didn't realize it till like way later.
No, it's so much fun too to be able to kind of just. I mean, I think that as far as the most satisfying kills for weapons
Mhm.
goes,
Yeah.
I'd say that the bulldog
Yeah.
is also a lot of fun. The
I-
mangler, or whatever the spike rifle is, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The skewer.
The skewer, yeah.
Yeah,
The
Oh,
skewer,
Sure.
and then I'm gonna say gravity hammer when you get 5 or 6
Oh,
kills with it. at
oh
once.
yeah.
Like that is
Because
real satisfying,
the-
especially
Yeah.
on the large
Yeah.
maps.
The gravity hammer has kind of massive speed reduction.
Yes.
With its,
Oh, it is so slow.
So
Yeah.
absolutely.
So much better.
Yeah.
But if you can't time it where if a warthog's passing like in front of you just as the hammer comes down,
It's satisfying.
that's great.
No.
That's the one.
What would be
That's the one
best?
right there.
Yep.
What would be best if you do that on a big team battle map with the covered carrier and
Yep.
a UNSC one, and you launch it into that pit?
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guarantee someone done that already. But
I am curious though what your thoughts were about the TTK.
Yeah, I
don't-
wanna
I
hear
don't-
that
I don't
too.
think you got that out.
no.
Oh, as far as the which one in particular?
You were gonna say something earlier. I don't unless I missed it.
Oh god.
There's
There's
a-
a few weapons in particular that I was a little bit confused about at least as far as its weapon balance. One of them is the commando, which you kind of already talked about.
Yeah.
That has way too low damage.
Yeah.
I find that the fully automatic weapons in general have really odd damage. I mean, I know that the assault rifle, I'm just bad with it. I'll be honest, I'm bad with it. It's a starting weapon and I'm terrible with it. I've gotten kills with it. I just suck with it in general. But it does feel like it has a little bit slow TTK, especially if you're doing headshots and you're doing burst fire. It still feels real slow. But there's that, the commando, and the pulse rifle, I think, for the brute.
Pulse carbine.
Pulse carbine.
That was the
Carbine.
one.
Yeah.
That was the one you're
That's
thinking of.
Yeah.
Real bad. Pulse carbine, I think, has the worst.
Terrible.
I think it's
Terrible.
the absolute worst weapon in
It's
I
It's-
wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely weird because that's what I was talking about earlier. Where this isn't like saying like get good with it. I think it's a weird design choice.
yeah.
yeah.
But the pulse carbine has the fastest shield knock rate. So
hit it.
if you hit it,
If you hit
it also is tracking though. So if you're within medium short range, it tracks if you're dead. So
Yeah,
you
I
can,
noticed that.
but then you have to make sure you're packing like a BR or an auto as your backup.
Yeah.
So if you really good with their weapon switching, so it's this really weird thing where they didn't bring back the noob combo, but they made the noob combo more complicated.
I will also
Yeah.
say I think the Needler has too high of damage. Just as far because you don't even have to get to half shield and it kills instantly.
Mhm.
At least what I've seen, the Needler seems like it has too high of damage. I like it and I love it and I love the high damage on it, but it feels like it has too much. It has too low.
Like,
It's a little bit OP.
What I will say about the Pulse Carbine, though, is this is actually a Brookman. I think this might be the one you're thinking of, because that one I did test in the technical preview. And one of my biggest gripes about that weapon is in the weapon drills where they have the 3 different tiers that you can go through. There's the standing still, kind of moving, and then the fully moving. Standing still, head on the reticle, it does not hit them. It can be red completely, and it'll curve around them. You're not moving at all.
Wait,
It's
what gun?
weird.
The Pulse Carbine.
It's,
I think when it connects, it's a phenomenal weapon, but I think mechanically it's just so inconsistent, and I don't know if that was an issue that they had where it was, with aim assist trying to kind of constitute that a little bit, or if it's just fundamentally wrong with the weapon. In campaign, it's not as bad, but multiplayer, even post-launch and even with this update that they just launched, it's still having a problem with it. And it tracks, but the way in which it tracks is not consistent. It arcs differently.
I used the Pulse Carbine like one time, and I was like, nope, threw it away. Never picked it up ever again.
It's just not a consistent weapon. It could be.
Like the only time I pick up is if someone has overshield.
It works great in situations when it works. But I think if they balance that to be more consistent, whether it's consistently missing and you just have to really make sure it's in there, or consistently hitting where you're supposed to arc it and track it and make it a skill weapon, it's not there yet. So, but specifically with the AR, like you mentioned, I get it. It's a starting weapon, and I don't think it's totally your fault that you're not connecting with it, but a lot of it is the fact that it's intended as a burst weapon, but it's not supposed to be a burst weapon.
And again, I'm fully admitting that I'm not great with it. I've used, every single Halo game I suck with it. It's always the weapon I get rid of immediately because I'm terrible with it.
It's that's funny because one of my main is always the AR, and I just love that thing so much. Always have.
Again, I fully admit it is partly skill based. That is entirely on me. And again,
that's what my stream is running Phil through AR drills.
Even then, when I have been doing burst fire with it and I have been getting connected headshots, it's still half the time, even when I'm straight crosshairs on the face and at point blank range, sometimes it will still just hit them in the torso half the shots and burst. It's
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wasted that shot basically, and they killed me because then they immediately somehow managed to get me in the head with it. So it feels like the burst happens way too, or the spread happens way too quickly with it. And that's just how I feel with it.
One thing.
No, go ahead.
One of the guns that I feel that same way about is actually the Bulldog, and using that in some cases, it feels like the pellets just dematerialize at some points. That one takes a full clip to pop shields almost, and going from the legacy of the Halo shotgun. Obviously, they've stated this is not the shotgun, and the shotgun may return at some point.
I think it guaranteed it will return.
But this is it's a weird replacement.
It's not a fast enough fire rate to dictate its existence right now.
They have. I feel 100% confidence, right, from Hollywood. It's especially seeing a Bulldog just not replace them where the shotgun fits in a meta. Meet the classic combat shotgun will come back. I will bet money on that. That will come back. But I'm going to say my response to some of what you guys are saying, but also just my first impressions, because you mostly just already entered the whole sandbox discussion. So I just want to get my stuff out there, and then we just fully move into this, right? So but my first impression is I agree with really everything you guys are saying. I'm honestly not surprised by the Commando and Psychic thing, Landon, because while I was using that gun, something felt so off with it that I could replace it. And something felt really, really off. And what you're saying makes perfect sense. Nothing should be hitting harder. But as I said before, the DNA is still a really good gameplay loop. Really good base DNA. These are not big complaints. The game had proven to me if they do proper updates and balance your trades, that they can have a great future. And For me, it mostly came back to Halo 3 multiplayer when I first tried it, and I loved that. But I remember as a young kid, I found Halo 3 multiplayer quite frustrating for some reason. So, I don't, maybe it's just because I'm older and I'm much more experienced in games at this point, you know. I'm not sure if Halo 3 multiplayer was the most forgiving for getting into shooters for your first time. So,
No.
with a lot more experience now, I don't mind that. I really enjoy Infinite. My one big difference with my first impressions from what I read and what I just also from my first impressions and then what I read after, you know, the past few weeks have been out, is you're all saying, you know, people are still upset about how long it's gonna take to grind, right?
Yeah.
But I've also heard of the opposite concerns now of with the 500 or the 300 SP, you know, each day, or 500 total, right? You can get pretty far that battle patch each day, at least a level each day, and there's not many there. Especially with double SP on, and you time it appropriately, you can finish that most likely within 2 months.
Yeah.
And we don't have a new one until May. That could be a while for some people.
I think I'd say I think that kind of goes with what Phil had said with the rewards not being rewarding enough.
Yeah.
Where now I feel like the pass progression is about where I want. Like if I can like get into Destiny and do like a level on my battle pass a day, fine. Same like if I can get on, do a couple matches, progress my battle pass a level, great. Give me something more with that though. Not give me like another XP boost, which essentially just allows me to skip a level when instead you could just halved the battle pass length instead of making every other one an XP boost.
I still think that had they taken the Halo Reach model approach to progression, it would have been a solid balance because then they could have thrown battle pass elements into that. To a certain degree, when you got up in the higher levels, yeah, it was a grind for sure. But that, like, you can compare that to any MMO or like some like WoW or RuneScape. Like, of course, when you're up in the higher games, it's gonna take you a while. That's the whole point of grinding to those top levels. But for the majority of players, they're casual, so keeping that leveling system, it went pretty decently quickly, but not too fast.
Yeah.
And I think if you tied the unlockables that way, where like I get you're not selling anything that way, I understand that, but you could have a premium model that tacks onto that. Siege does a great job of that.
Yeah.
That what I was thinking earlier. That what I said, but I don't. That what I said to him a few days ago, actually, Landon. You know, because I think in some ways Siege does have a good model of the battle pass. You have a lot of rewarding things in that. You know, you have a free one too. You know, you can still earn pretty much almost all cosmetics or even operators in game.
Right.
But Tim's point is a valid one of, you know, yeah, it is a little pay to win. I didn't see that before, but yeah, people who bought top off the bat has an advantage.
Absolutely.
People who don't have that money or time or whatever, you know, like I've been occupied with Star Citizen and Halo Infinite. That's when I want a game, and of course it's live, obviously. So I just not been in the mood to play Rainbow Six, so I haven't been playing for months. And now I might don't have two of the new operators. And people who bought it, you know, definitely. Like one reason I didn't even start the new season the past few months is because I knew, I'm not gonna grind for the new op. I could have. This is not my schedule right now.
And that's
I know people will have it on day one.
I haven't played too much of Siege competitive, so I don't know how bad it is there. But if you go to like Valorant with Riot's system of introducing characters, they've said this before, but they intentionally introduce characters overtuned to encourage people to make the hard cash purchase, so that by the time someone will unlock it naturally, they're then rebalanced. So, and then when you're a game that is an esport, which is designed to be, you know, a competitive and fair playing field, if you're not part of like an org that like will essentially like shell out cash for you, or you're not like a main streamer who has the like dedicated assets to throw at that, if you're just someone who hops on for like 2 ranked matches a night of Valorant, like your weekend football dad, whatever. You're playing at a competitive field at a marked disadvantage.
Yeah. A very strategically designed
Yeah.
disadvantage.
That is not okay. I'll to phrase it like that. But I want to go back to the sandbox because I want to, I want to go a little deep dive in some of this stuff with the fact, like you said, that guy's the new noob combo. Technically, we can still do the noob combo. The plasma pistol still overcharges, and we still have a battle rifle.
Yeah, but but now it's really funny how you have these. They've added in additional steps to, I guess, try and rebalance it in some way, but it just ends up making it feel a little off.
Yeah.
Because it means they end up getting two assets that are slightly underpowered, or they don't have a clearly defined utility. It's like, if like I was saying, I get what they did with the pulse carbine having it be a shield knocker, but I only pick it up if I have overshields and run into a team fight where, like, if Landon and I are pushing Stronghold, we know someone on Stronghold has overshield. He has a BR, I'm picking up pulse carbine, I'm going to pop in there, run out, he runs with the BR. But that takes a lot of setup, and if we're just doing, like, randoms online, we're not in a Discord.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get that meshing together with that.
But like, yeah, but like you said, like I see what a pulse carbine's supposed to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain things missing from the sandbox off the bat that, like, I bet you will come eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Just with the 10-year kilo plan, I guarantee they'll bring a lot of classic weapons back.
Mm-hmm.
I did feel I cannot see them not bringing things back.
Yeah, and I think also with the now being a I'll mention this even though it's technically for single player, but I think it alludes to how multiplayer parts in the future. I think they are trying to do more of the Destiny model, seasons of content with an annual expansion, and that Microsoft has already trademarked Halo: The Endless as a title. Yeah.
Okay then.
So we already have an idea of what year 2 might be.
Yes.
And we already know. So I'm thinking, like, I'm not sure if we're going to get maps with each season. Might make it like a map or a gun with a season release in between, and then next year we're like, okay, here's this chunk added onto the map in single player with another batch of maps or whatever.
And here's a ton of weapons and vehicles and.
Yeah, and seeing that, like, how that's worked out well for Destiny over the past couple of years, like, for a game as service, especially, like, when you already have that weird connotation that Bungie, Halo, Destiny 343 all kind of, like, the incestuous relationship there, it kind of, it makes sense. But I think that we're going to see updates in tweaking more frequently than you have in titles in the past.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that, unfortunately, but I get it, is going to depend on the competitive scene.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm curious to see happen is if they take it in an approach like you talked about, where it's a one map, one season type thing, or if they bundle it like in the past where they've done DLCs, where it's like 3, 4, maybe 5. Because I feel as though if they go the one approach, it's going to bring them more money. They have a longer time to pull that 10-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that, and we've seen it across a lot of highly competitive esports games, is when you try to do that, you don't really plan as detailed for balancing. So at a certain point, you're trying to balance 50 weapons, and they're all doing a bad job.
Yeah.
And you have people, like in Siege's case, there's always some kind of op that gets horrendous nerf and always some that gets a horrendous buff. And they don't do anything about it till the next season. And because they're working on the next season, they don't have time for it.
I think
if you bundle it, they have all that time, and they can go in and have a small team to kind of pick and
exactly. Yeah, I think also what kind of made me think they're going to be a little more esports focused is, well, one, the fact that the Halo multiplayer goes live, and then we have HCS has switched their tournament over to Halo Infinite, and Halo launches with all their pro players with their skins.
And they went immediately with Face It.
And the map selection we got there, I think someone had mentioned that it felt kind of like a shallow map pool.
Yeah,
but I think like this is the same size map pool that you'd get if you're doing CS:GO. At any given time, this is about the same size map pool.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, oh, they are kind of prioritizing on finding a balance between being the Halo weird sandbox experience that it is, but also like appeasing to the MLG scene, the HCS scene that grew out of Halo 3. Which, being someone who liked both scenes, I do appreciate that. But you're going to get into like some more points. We're going to get some things that just don't sell for other people, like the things that Siege falls into or Valorant falls into that turn other people off.
Hey, Pirate, can you just do a voice check for me for a second here? I want to check someone.
Check 1, check 2,
Phil,
check 3.
4, check 5.
Landon,
Check.
Tim.
The fire in your heart, Spartan.
I don't know, I heard like some weird like reading. That was great, by the way. And I heard some reading. I wasn't sure. Like I thought it might have just been my ears reading or like to my headphones off.
It's the tinnitus setting in.
Baby driver.
But then it was only when I had a headphones, and I'm like, you were taught. I wasn't sure if there was some feedback, but it seems to be gone now. So, about the
Ghosts
other bridge.
that live,
Yeah,
ghosts that live in your headset.
pretty
Yeah.
much. Exactly. That must be it.
It's nothing but dust and echoes.
Well, I mean, the ghost, like, yeah.
Nice.
I was referring to, like the Halo ghost, the little,
Yes.
that's that ringing you hear is the sound of them boosting.
Right.
Hey, listen.
Link, listen. Hey, Link, listen. Yes. Dash.
Shut up.
No, but yeah, I could see them releasing new weapons like they would with like Siege,
Yeah.
releasing new operators.
Like
Yeah.
I
That'd be pretty interesting. But then there's that problem with what you were saying, Landon.
Yeah.
With the balancing.
Like I could see what I think most likely will happen, right? Is each season we will get some weapons, some vehicles. I can imagine even then most likely during the seasons there might be even more returning stuff compared to brand new content, right? Just because, people dug for the code. There's old code already still there, right? Some with brand new models like the Goshawk, where it's clear, okay, you have an updated model for this. Most likely will come very soon. And you already have, some of the code for that, or the Spartan laser, evidence for that, or,
Throwback maps.
yeah.
Again, kind of like we had talked about earlier, that Scorpion Razorback.
Yeah.
We're gonna be getting stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Nothing. Or, but there's also evidence of things that people have found. I won't say exactly what for the sake of spoilers, right? But I'll just say that people have found evidence of new vehicles that are, like when they are modded into the game and you EMP them, the textures are pretty much all there. It doesn't need to color paint because at the moment it's at the big red block. But like all the little details are there when it's EMP'd. So it's highly likely it's not going to be thrown out. Sorry, Tim interrupted.
I'd say we talked about this on my stream, but the idea of like, kind of more going to like what it means when we're working as a game as a service is you're going to have like these weird anchor items, like what happens in Destiny, where you're going to find like there's something that essentially exists in this game for years without actually existing in the game. Until they do the tweaks they need to do or whatever, and then it's just a quick like couple megabyte update to actually activate it, as opposed to in the past they're like, okay, great, I have to download 10 gigs because they added a game like a asset to the game.
Looking at you, Call of Duty.
Yep.
So I can see like those things be added. What Phil? Sorry.
Oh, I was just commenting on the fact that, as Chipmunk had stated with Call of Duty, having to recreate all of the shaders, which takes like 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
It's stupid.
Oh yeah.
It's horrendous.
The fact that game is that bloated in today's age is just unacceptable.
It really is. I mean, even with modern,
Yeah.
modern hardware, like it still takes forever
Yeah.
to do.
Atrocious.
Which is, yeah, it's really
In what world does Destiny load faster than Call of Duty? This one, apparently.
This
But
is truly the darkest timeline.
I feel
Yeah.
like Skyrim loads faster than Call of Duty.
I can, but that is but they also Call of Duty has like shit sales this year, from my understanding. But
Bad.
Halo is really taking a cake with this compared to Battlefield and Call of Duty with its shades of peace, but not unwelcomed.
They
But-
for sure saw Battlefield launch, people complaining about server stuff, and what's his name? Stevens, the directors ran to them and was like, press the button, just send it.
Wasn't it? Didn't they delay the launch again just a little bit? When they delayed the launch a little bit after hearing like all the bad stuff.
I
that was
think they
going on
did,
with,
but they did put it out pretty quick after because
yeah,
they stole the thunder, which was great. But
Mhm.
but no, I could see us getting returning stuff in these updates in the seasons, and then when a year hits and we get a big campaign expansion, we get a ton of new stuff. Maybe like some really big fan favorite stuff people want back, like maybe like the brute shot, for example. Since
Yeah,
we-
Blue Shot was dope.
like we know it. Also, you can even infer a little from Halo Wars 2, I think, of just what the bandits use in their arsenal, and they have access to some of the stuff that's not in Infinite yet. So just logically, I think you could say if they can make it work with balance, even if you just want it as Forge only or custom games only, right?
Mhm.
The brute shot would be something they have. The needle, the spike or something they have. The plasma pistol, the coveted carbine, etc., etc., etc. Like it's in there. It's hardware that they as a military organization or insurgent organization has familiarity with and utilizes in their campaigns. But there's still sort of sandbots that are missing at the moment that just feels weird off the bat. Like how non-working the carbine, the plasma carbine is. And you don't have a plasma rifle, a storm rifle, a repeater, like none of those kind of to fill that gap. Or again, them, publicly admitting, the bolt dot does not fit, the spot in the meta where the old shotgun does. And, okay, then why don't we have the old shotgun? Because on one side, like you guys said, it's hard to get kills with the sword, but also there's no real counter weapon to the sword yet.
I mean, ranged weapons, yeah. I mean, like
Yeah,
if you have
but
a
I mean,
battle rifle and you see it coming from a mile away,
But
yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
like,
the skewer. Skewers are good.
but I
Lunging
mean,
at me, well, I just have to point right at you and you're dead.
Yeah.
We also have this within where we can also think about armor abilities and items as also like counters or plays in the meta where you can stop someone mid lunge with the sword with the repulsor and send them bouncing off into the
that's
river.
a good point. That's a good point. But like, besides the repulsor, I guess like close range, you don't have a weapon that counters it yet.
Oh,
I guess what I'm
not
saying.
even the bulldog.
Oh, no, the
No.
bulldog, you still takes like 5 or 6 shots to kill
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah, it's
Really?
not strong
Point
enough.
blank?
Yeah, it's not strong enough at all.
That what I'm saying.
Wow.
You don't have like a trusty close range shotgun, and
Gotcha.
that is completely missing from the meta.
Yeah.
And they said that would make you think that the old combat shotgun will come back. It's in the files. So, like Tim said, they most likely just have to press a button, and it's
They're
here.
probably they're probably still tweaking it.
Most likely.
Like that's a lot of the problems they're having, like where you're talking about, is when you're thinking about they probably did a lot of market testing with MLG teams or HCS teams now.
Oh, they're dead. They said
HCS is
that.
big, and they're like, all right, so these are your mainstays. You're gonna use these. Here's a few fun extra items we're gonna throw in just because people might do something with them, but that was what they launched with, was just, here's how we tune to the competitive scene, and then you add in things as the service progresses. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like one class that I really miss, it's Sport and Leisure still. I love that bloody thing so much.
Oh yeah.
But no, yeah, we're just fully in Sandbots, so this is, we've been in this for a while now, but this is for what are your guys' favorite weapons, which we kind of really went into, but if there's anything else you want to mention, there's a few I want to kind of talk about still. Game modes, weapons, vehicles, anything you love that's in a game right now, anything extra that you want to change that we haven't mentioned yet, but I feel we've covered a lot of that already. And there's any stuff you want to see come back, either old or new.
I feel like we've kind of talked a lot about much of this stuff already.
Agreed. So,
Okay.
like any small last stuff you guys want to mention.
Yeah.
We
I
haven't
don't know
really
how
talked
much of
about
you guys have
vehicles.
actually. Yeah. As far as vehicles go, well, I just wanted to stay on weapons for one last second. I
Agreed.
don't know how many of you guys actually use the shock pistol.
Yeah.
I haven't in multiplayer, but I've used it in campaign. I'm just like, you know what? I need to try this in multiplayer now.
Multiplayer, I will say it's significantly worse. but
Really?
Getting a kill with it is a whole lot more satisfying.
Mm.
Because it's weaker than the no longer the Magnum, the sidearm.
Sidekick.
Right? That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Damn
Sidekick,
50
the sidekick.
sidekick.
It's weaker than the sidekick, but it does apparently do a lot more to it because it is a shock weapon, so it's again anti-vehicle.
Yep.
So it's really weird having an anti-vehicle pistol, kind of where we already have that with the plasma pistol.
With plasma pistol, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it has a really weird niche that I don't know if it's good or bad. It exists.
Here's
That's
the
how I see
thing,
it.
though. The plasma pistols is not the MP vehicles anymore.
Oh, it doesn't.
No,
Oh.
it's like just
Not-
like
not
the Halo 1 plasma pistol. It does not EMP vehicles anymore. It will take out a shield. It still did a new combo, but it will not EMP vehicles. Those are exclusively
That
shock
makes it feel like
weapons.
Whack.
the plasma pistol's now a whole lot weaker because
Yeah.
Yeah.
the only time it really does anything is if you have it fully charged and you just happen to run up to somebody.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
miss them, now you have to wait like 3 to 5 seconds for it to fully charge. At that point, you're already dead. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they should bring that back. If that's not the case with that anymore, they should bring that back because having the EMP is so valuable for a pistol that otherwise is worthless, especially in large-scale maps.
Mhm.
Because the plasma pistol is definitely the weakest weapon, or I would say it's probably one of the weaker weapons if that's the case. I'm not an expert as far as balancing goes for that.
Yep.
But as far as my usage of it and the fact that it used to do so in previous Halos, I feel like that should be the case. Now, kind of shifting from that onto weapon or on towards vehicles.
Oh.
If anybody has anything else to say about it,
There is one weapon that I want to mention. Though. How do you guys feel about the Forerunner weapons? Because we first got them in 2, and then kind of 3 with the Sentinel Beam, and then 4 and 5 really introduced us to like these weird Promethean stuff, and now we're kind of back to the old design language of Bungie era Forerunner stuff.
I
would
haven't
Yeah.
touched any of those. Like,
All
I
right.
mean, if you're talking about campaign, then
Well, it's in
you're-
multiplayer too, but
I haven't seen any of those in multiplayer, like at all.
I've
which ones would
used
we?
them with you.
So Sentinel being one of them.
The Sentinel Beam, Decider Shot.
Cinder Shot.
Oh, wait, wait, wait.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Cinder
okay.
Shot
No,
and Heat Wave.
the Sentinel Beam, yes.
Sentinel
That's the
Beam,
only.
Cinder Shot, Heat Wave. That's it.
What's the other one?
Heat Wave.
Cinder Shot, and then the Heat
Oh.
Wave.
We're
Wait,
talking
I
about
gotta
Cinder,
look
sorry.
those up.
Yeah, I feel like there's also like dropping like the fractal shotgun and like a bunch of other things was a part of 343's kind of shooing 4 and 5 back under the carpet. But the Sentinel Beam slaps, Cinder Shot slaps, Heat Wave, I've yet to find a real use for it other than like trying to get montage ricochet shots.
Is the Sentinel Beam? Which one is the one that just has the constant beam? Is that the Sentinel
Yeah,
Beam?
that is
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say the Sentinel Beam is probably one of my favorite of the Forerunner weapons, just because it's not high damage, but there's nothing more hilarious than having people run by not knowing what the heck's happening as you're just kind of beaming them from a distance. Like it's just really funny watching people kind of just popping around trying to figure out what's going on, and then they die, and you're like, oh.
Also,
Why is it so hot?
I love the death effect. Like, besides just how functional gameplay-wise they are, I honestly love the designs aesthetically of all three of the weapons, and I love the shape of the weapons, the color, you look at the beams or ammo, but I love the death effect of like this purplish, just melting. It's awesome. I love it. Like, not to throw the campaign for a second, but I loved using the campaign with like a grunt. Just like a tiny moment of that any of the beams, and you just like vaporize in an instant.
Yeah, that little scream that it does every time when they get vaporized.
Yep.
Just, mwah.
Wonderful.
I really want to talk about the campaign.
I know.
I'm not going to,
Next week.
I'm just going to make one last comment. Grunt dialogue is absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, no.
Oh,
The
yeah.
dialogue is
Absolutely.
absolutely. Absolutely. But no, next week we won't do campaign.
Next week.
But vehicles, or is there any weapon or weapons you want to mention you wish you want to bring
Yes.
back? Or one weapon that is game now that you really love that you haven't mentioned
Forklift.
yet?
What?
Bring back forklifts. Not just in Forge, in multiplayer too.
Yes.
Forklift gang,
Forklift.
unite.
Yeah.
Let us use it.
Forklifts.
Bring it back, Bund 343. What are you scared of? What are you afraid of? But as I was kind of trying to shift to the vehicles, there's a lot of really fun vehicles. I'd like to see more Scorpion use in actual multiplayer.
Agreed.
I think that there's only one big map that actually has it.
The problem with the Scorpion, and this is the biggest complaint about both tanks, right? Is that like the Pelican system is cool with dropping vehicles off in big team battle. But the big complaint about with tanks is that it takes so long for them to be dropped off. So not necessarily it's only on one map. It's all a big team.
Really...
It's just by the time they arrive, either the game already ended, or like we're playing with shout out to Pete that we were playing with the other day. Remember Pirate?
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally a Scorpion tank landed, right? We both ran to it and the game ended.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the tanks between the Scorpion and the what's the other one?
Wraith.
The Wraith.
Yeah.
They come up at they get dropped off at the tail end of the game,
and you barely ever use them.
So there's no excitement in like being able to run up and like have the whole gang come and try and take the tank from the opposition. So it kind of ruins it.
I feel like that's definitely something that needs to be worked out.
Yeah.
Just as far as the sandboxing experience, because I mean nothing's more fun than playing multiplayer, just getting a bunch of kills with tanks. Like nothing's more fun with that. And if you die, you know what? That's your own fault for running a tank.
And it's not
a big target.
And it honestly has nothing to do with the tank or the Wraith. Like it has nothing to do with the Scorpion or the Wraith.
Yeah, it's just timing. That is entirely timing.
But yeah.
And again, that's just something they can tweak a few numbers on really quickly. Well, not real quickly. You might have to recompile the entire game depending on how it's integrated. But depending on how that's integrated. But I mean, just as far as having something, there's a few numbers that really need to be tweaked. Or we need to have potentially longer game modes, and that's something that maybe they'll be implementing. I think that game match time right now is just fine. I don't think we really worry about it.
Yeah. 15 minutes is fine.
I agree with that.
If they want to do longer.
If you have like as someone who frequently has days where like you only get like an hour in of gaming in at the end of the day, the amount of matches you can get in on Halo is like so far beating like every other shooter experience I've had recently.
And I think that's perfect. I think the game length is perfect, or match length is perfect. I'm not complaining about that at all. But if they are going to do tanks, then they need to make sure that there are either A, longer game modes available, B, shorten the length of time, or C, have more frequent drops, and then have that kind of integrated.
Or
have them available.
Or what I could see them doing is like, how about you do it yourself? Forge map. It drops only tanks. You can have it just drop only tanks.
Well, I guarantee that'll be available.
Wow.
And again, this isn't a complaint for Forge because we don't know what the Forge looks like yet.
Oh yeah, no. But I'm sure that's going to be the case though.
Yeah, or you can just spawn it. You can spawn it in Forge. That's entirely viable. Yeah, that's entirely viable, and you know
Yeah.
that's great, and I'm excited for Forge.
Same.
But this is again,
The
I
here and
I
now.
just want them to change this for the here and
Yeah.
now.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And either have them. I mean, I would also appreciate if they had at least one or two, hidden around the map, and if you find it, that's awesome. If you
Yeah.
know where it is, even if they're randomly spawned, if you find it and come across it, that gives you an advantage.
Yep.
But it's also not something that's like, well, now you have to wait, and then if it drops it, well, the game's over, or it's not like it's dropping it in the middle of a firefight and everyone has access to it. But honestly, I kind of like the idea that everyone has access to it and everyone's trying to fight for it,
same.
because then that kind of makes it so if you get it, then you're.
You know, it'd be kind of decent, like in piggyback off what you said of like finding the tank. Like I could see that being kind of a thing, but at the same time, that would require them changing the map per se, because the it's a tank, it's big as shit.
Yeah.
Big
But
thing. Yeah.
What I could see them doing, like going by what you're saying, trying to find it, like imagine like a sort of like key or whatever, because you know how like say there's like a pad that spawns the warthog,
Yes.
right? And you see like the silhouette of it, like the hologram of it before it's being loaded to spawn in. There's like, let's say there's like a key somewhere you gotta find, get that, come back, load it in, and it's not the warthog anymore. It's the tank.
I feel like that would be really awesome. This is something that or something similar to that they use in the campaign. I'm not trying to pull from the campaign discussion, but how the campaign they have it, you have to get like, an item, and
Yes.
something like that, and either like brings up or gives you access to the tank.
Yes.
Something like that would be phenomenal, because then you can easily execute that in the time, but you also have to know how to execute it to begin with. And then if you do that, it has some skill-based interaction. It also at the same time has some, like timing-based interaction, and you're not necessarily worried about, well, now we're at the very last 5 seconds of the match and the tank spawns, so let's go to it, and now game was over.
Like, one thing is that we are missing, talking about missing game modes, is we are missing like we have the classic bit team battle, yes, but we normally always have like something even bigger like Warzone or Firefight or
Invasion Slayer,
like, and it pretty damn sure they confirm that they have something in the works for that. It is not at launch. So, I've even heard rumors of like Battle Royale or
God, I
like,
hope not.
Yeah, no.
I
We don't
honestly,
need to.
I honestly
Leave
don't
Battle
want
Royale
that.
to my
Yeah, I will
field.
uninstall
But
the game.
but I've also heard like rumors of like 20 on 20 bit team battle, like these crazy things of like, but I think it's at least enough talk had been said that there's evidence that some massive bit team mode is coming.
I
At
hope they
some
don't.
point.
I hope they don't, but I feel like they're gonna. I could see it happening, because how it's like in the campaign, it's that big ass map,
Yeah.
right? It's so like primed for battle royale.
The only
You gotta admit.
I think it's a lot of the reason why they did it.
Yeah, if you actually do that though, you have to have the grappling hook as like the default loaded.
Yes.
Oh, of course.
So
Yeah.
if they don't do that, then you're basically running like, well, now I'm gonna sit around here for 15 minutes while I try to find something, and I'm dead. He found a sniper and killed me.
You need a
Versus like, oh, well, now I can.
But yeah, have the battlefield issue.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm actually kind of glad you mentioned that, because there's a couple things I wanted to mention for
Go ahead.
the weapon wise. I think the grapple shot is probably the single greatest mechanic that's been introduced in the entire franchise. And I think when they were experimenting with new things in Halo 5, they had an idea, and it wasn't terrible. They experimented things with Halo Reach. They had an idea, it wasn't terrible. In some ways, they were awful in both of those iterations.
Yes.
Look at your armor lock.
Armor lock.
Personally, this is a horrendously unpopular opinion.
Oh no.
Did not hate armor lock. Didn't hate it. Didn't use it, but I didn't hate it.
So what? Wait.
It was annoying.
Like,
It
what
was like
didn't hate it.
it was like the armor or over armor that you
Right.
have, or over shield that you get with in Infinite. If it was like that, that would be a whole lot better. But the fact that you're stuck there, can't do anything.
I
can't move.
disagree.
We need
I
to
didn't hate it.
ask. We need to ask Lantern now. What is the most annoying ability in Reach for armor abilities then for you?
I didn't really think of them as like an issue.
I like them.
You know?
I didn't really buy them. Armor lock, I kind of agree with them about, but I was curious if there's one.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really find any to be a problem. I didn't really find any to be a problem, to be honest. I
Sure.
thought they were pretty good. Now, Armor Lock, I think, was probably overpowered for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think it was a bad mechanic. But like with the grapple shot specifically,
Yep.
I playing Halo how I play, and this was a large draw for when Destiny 1 came out. From moving from what Bungie did to then moving into the next title, is the way I play that type of game was exactly how Destiny moved. And specifically the Hunter class, where there's a lot that you can do. You have abilities to throw things. You have abilities to get a little bit of a range on movement. And I think with the grapple shot, this has completely changed it in a positive way. And maneuvering through campaign and maneuvering through some of these maps on multiplayer, my only gripe is that I wish it was always on you. I wish it was a default. But I do not want classes back in Halo. That was the worst mechanic they ever introduced.
Agreed.
Because like Aggro said earlier, is it locks you into something really bad, and you can't have that variety of play, and it sucks.
As far as like the abilities, the armor abilities go, I think my least favorite is either the barrier, because it's like the moment it hits a shot, it's basically gone, or the thruster. But at least the thruster has some use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the thruster does have some use.
I've found some very helpful thrust, especially on the larger maps. Getting just enough to be able to get over to another area is not as good as the grapple shot, but it's still really helpful. Or being able to dodge. I've actually been able to dodge like a vehicle about to hit me or something. When something like that happens, it actually has its use.
I also do like the drop shield until I discovered this, and it changed the game for me.
But
It is now the best reversal item in the game.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah, totally.
amazing for bounce shots.
It only works one way. You can shoot through it without breaking it.
yep, you can.
So just flipping around, throwing it down as someone's spraying you. Also, now you have return fire; they can't hit you.
Did they adjust that after when they did that tweak? Because I could have sworn that when I shot through it, it broke the shield.
No.
Or if you aim shoot through it, it will break. But if you hit fire through it, it will not break.
Oh.
That is
It's
so
really
Wow.
That
Is that
is
a
so
bug?
weird.
It's a weird decision, but when you figure it out, you're like, man, I just have like,
Is that on purpose
okay,
or is that a bug?
yeah, that's intended.
That's
Okay.
intended.
Interesting.
That is so weird. They shouldn't have it so if you're aiming it, it's destroying it. But at the same time, I guess I don't know. It's bullets either way, so
Because they don't. Well, that I get why. Because if you have a sniper with you, you can just aim shot one pop someone, and then you completely change the dynamics of a firefight. Whereas instead of giving you a leg up, you now have complete advantage. The idea is you use it to rebalance a firefight rather than just do a full 180 on it.
That's
Yeah.
true.
well that I can
Yes.
I can understand balancing wise how they did that. It just from like a sense wise, it doesn't
Well,
make any.
But wait a
Yes.
minute. Wait, I've done this in campaign of. I know I've aimed down sights. I think. I've shot grunts through the shield.
Maybe they
I'm
tweaked
wrong.
it. Maybe they
Maybe.
tweaked it because I know that when it was starting out,
Yeah.
I shot through it, it would break the shield. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Now-
that's all I know.
What I will say is there are some mechanics though, like kind of like with that, where it's just
Mhm.
There is something that I was fuming angry about that I don't know if you guys share the same sentiment about, and it's something I noticed in the
So?
tech preview, and then I noticed while the live game came out,
Yep.
is that when you're carrying the flag or you're carrying the oddball, it is still 2-hit mechanic for punches.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that is the most unfair and disgusting mechanic, because on its own, I hate the 2 beatdown thing, because there are certain instances where you can shoot into somebody for a good amount of time, and then you punch them, and only then does their shield break. Or you can walk up to them, punch them once, and their shield breaks. So that's where that TTK comes into place, and that's where some of the weapon balancing comes into place, is I feel like that triangle of design really got into the point of we want you to work for that kill while also being skillful. But
But
the fact that there is no defense for you as an oddball carrier or a flag carrier is absurd. And that
I
needs to
agree with
change.
that. I agree with
I
that.
completely
That's another thing I have for. I feel like there's a weird emphasis on weapon switching in this game because that's how new combo works. And as the flag carrier now, I find myself like trying to like toss the flag, switch out, pull out my BR, whatever, do whatever, then run back to it because sometimes randos are not the most intelligent and do not know how to form cages when you're running an objective.
Yeah.
There's that, but also they don't know teamwork. Like I've drove up with a Razorback multiple times, and the carrier really walks right by me
Yeah.
and goes far
No.
away.
Hey, come on,
Yeah.
get it.
That's fucking annoying. That is fucking annoying.
I've driven carriers on Mongoose before. Usually when I get them, they're actually pretty smart. When you're driving the Mongoose and you just kind of ride up to them.
Yep.
and they just stop and be like,
That's basic. That's curriculum, man.
That's
You're supposed to
101.
know what to do.
That's Halo 101 right there.
Yeah, like there's certain instances where like I get it. Like, and I believe it was Halo 5 that introduced it, or it might have been 4, where they had the opportunity when you're a flag carrier that you had a pistol out. Do I think that is what needs to be changed to come back? No, I think that was a little too much.
But I believe like in Halo 3 or something it was, if you have an objective, it is a one-hit punch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
and so
That's the thing is
And reach.
because you're in a disadvantage, you obviously can't fire back.
Yeah.
You can't throw grenades. You can't do anything.
and with there's already been no lunge on that, if it's still like standard melee damage, you're effectively non-functional as an objective runner.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think that they need to go all the way back to let me hold a weapon while I have the objective, but I do think you need to have some level of defense for yourself because when it has the same close, not the same exact, the same close swing time as the gravity hammer, that there's no excuse for that.
No.
And also kind of coupling that with the gravity hammer is when you use the beatdown button, it's still the same swing, not just bunting it.
Yeah.
So I would also change that.
Which, yeah, I completely agree with that. Actually, even when I didn't really notice it much until the campaign, because it was more the campaign that I actually started using the gravity hammer with the beatdown instead of just the slam, because I didn't want to waste it.
Yeah.
But I noticed that it is the exact same. Boom.
It just lose.
Instead of just bam.
But like you lose the gravity pulse when you do in normal melee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's supposed to be a quick,
Yeah.
like small
Yeah.
melee thing. Now that
Yeah.
I think would be an instance of keeping whatever mechanic they choose to for the general basis of beating somebody down.
Yeah.
But when you have an objective, it's way
Yeah.
too weak.
I
It is
agree.
way- yeah.
I agree. And but like I don't know. A part of me thinks maybe have it like that because they want people to be more team oriented, you know? Like this is something that drives me nuts, but like I kinda want everyone's thoughts on like the new really only new vehicle we have in the sandbox, and that is the Razorback right now.
Yeah.
But like that vehicle is a troop transport Warthog upgraded for objective carrying as well.
Yes,
And
which
more
I
armor.
appreciate that they finally put that in there
Me too.
because it's
Yeah.
been a long needed thing.
Me too. But the thing that drives me nuts, right? It's like during a power core day, I think stockpile came out, right? I like drove up to people there, right? And I remember I put like you could carry objectives in the back of that vehicle, right?
It's so cool.
And
It's
I
so
love
cool.
it. But like
You can store weapons too. Well,
Yeah.
power weapons specifically.
Yep,
but
or the
it's so cool.
flag. And like I've died. I died one time, right? Other dude grabbed the Razorback, then drove. Well, it was fully stocked up with power cores, like 2 of them in there, to the enemy base.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
Oh,
It's so
that's
cool.
And I'm
That's
like,
that's what happens. It's like if people like, oh god, it happens in ranked too, and there's not even a vehicle to do it with. But there's somewhere in my when I was streaming my placement matches, there's a video of me just screaming at some dude because we're waiting for our guys to return the flag. He grabs the flag, starts running to the middle of the field. I'm like, well, we're 2 seconds from turn.
My god damn it.
like,
I did the exact same thing,
Yeah.
and it's like it's frustrating when
Yeah.
you're specifically in ranked
yeah.
because
Yep.
I get it from lower end players, and I understand from a placing perspective you have to gauge where they're at. So you put them in higher lobbies, you put them in lower lobbies. There's been
Yes.
plenty of instances in ranked where I am. It sounds so pretentious when I talk about it out loud, but like being a plat 5 or being in plat in general, and I'm playing with people who are also that rank. They are playing like they just bought the game and it's the first time they've ever touched it, and it is just. I have never wanted to rip my own throat out more.
Well,
It was just
I'm sorry, but like there are typically people playing that do not know either of how the game would work or do not know
right.
like I get the Razorback to the vehicle. I'm totally harping on this. I know that, but like the amount of times I have drove up, and people have the objective, and they do the dumbest things, and I'm like, I have things literally made to carry the stuff, and it would win us the game. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're enjoying the scenery.
Yeah, basically.
Smelling the roses and getting my headshot out. So
Drive you nuts. Totally nuts.
doing what I can.
We talked a little bit earlier about the progression system.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
I'm assuming we're now kind of in the portion of the show where we're talking about what's working, what doesn't.
yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah.
You know, anything you guys want to see back or new
Yeah.
or whatever. So feel
I
free to name
think-
anything. We should wrap that up though soon and go back to the monetization. Since we're at the 2-hour mark at least by now, or hour and a half.
Yeah.
2-hour
we
mark.
started.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick.
So yeah, we're at
I think
2-hour
it's-
mark.
Yeah.
We
'cause-
started at about 3 and it's 5:30.
Yeah,
here in the
well,
Pacific
2 hour on
Coast.
air, 2 hours and a half together at least.
Yeah.
Well,
We've
you,
been talking for 2.5.
well, you and I
All
felt
shorter than a league match.
Technically,
2 hours on air, 2.5 for all of us, 3
And
hours
3
for you
hours
and I,
for
Phil. So,
I think that we're all kind of in agreement on the progression
Mhm.
monetization.
agreed.
That it obviously needs some work.
Yeah, I like
Um,
the. Good.
I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts about specifically the challenges.
So
Um,
as a veteran Destiny player, where the bounty system has been a staple of our lifestyle for 10 years.
I love how I worded that so much.
So I like what they update to the XP per daily play. That's kind of just something that's standard and everything. Is like first game of the day, get your bonus XP, whatever. But with the challenges, they fall into this issue of being hyper specific, and Bungie gets the same feedback on stuff when they issue things for certain like PvP game modes specifically as well. Where you end up getting things where it falls down to RNG. We're like, hey, get a kill with a Razorback. Great, am I going to get a map with a Razorback? Am I going to get a game mode with a Razorback? But you also get things where they had the right idea. This point where it was like, play a game of big team battle. Perfect. I choose that playlist. I do the objective. And
can't
it
choose
mentions,
that.
yeah, things could have been narrowed down or broadened out, I guess.
Yeah.
Narrow down the types, broaden out the specifics of it. So it's not get 5 kills with battle rifle. Get 5 kills with a rifle variant. Something like
Or
that.
a precision weapon.
Yeah.
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 I actually am going to piggyback a little bit off of that. Much like Destiny, how you can choose to get specific types of bounties.
Mhm.
Also having something that allows you to kind of say like, I want bounties for this kind of playlist.
Yeah.
I choose
Yeah.
bounties for this specific playlist, or I have certain things that I do for a specific playlist.
Mhm.
Even if you can get all of them at the same time, which is a lot, but at least having the opportunity to choose, like, here's the kind of stuff that I like to play, here's the kind of stuff that I like to focus on. So I want to get bounties that help me progress my battle pass, doing that. Instead
Yeah.
of saying, well, now you have to play this game
Get
mode
6
over here
sword
that you never
kills.
touched. And you
Yeah.
have to get six sword kills on a specific like game.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I never use that.
Yeah.
You know what the
Or,
worst?
uh,
What the worst
Ah.
one is? Can you guess what I'm going to say though? What the worst challenge is?
End somebody's killing spree.
Oh no! Get
Fucking hate
X
that one.
amount of kills with the pulse carbine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
no!
And
God.
see, y'all were talking earlier. How, the pulse card isn't that bad. There you go. There's
I
your
was
proof.
saying
That
it
I
was
weapon
I
is
bad.
didn't
dog
say
shit.
no. I
I
agree with
said it
you.
was bad.
I threw it out of my hands the moment I picked it up. I'm
I
like,
was just
"Ugh."
saying that it has a use. I'm not saying it's good at use. I'm saying that I know where they're going, but it was not executed.
Wait,
I
oh,
am
yeah.
sure that it has something.
wait,
I'm
how many
sure
kills? How many kills?
Well, the one I got was 3, but I know there's
Any
more
amount.
ones.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You know.
Even get a single kill with it is too much.
That's
honestly.
funny.
That's how bad it is right
Yeah.
now.
Let me just
but-
break their shields with the AR, pull up my pulse carbine.
Yeah. That's the worst. Is when you go and you have the thing for the weapon challenge and you do all the work for it, and then subconsciously you punch them and that's what kills them. I have never wanted to throw my shit into the wall faster than that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
also
yeah, I
since
got this challenge, and just
But like,
I've been disconnected from matches after completing challenges, and it didn't help me complete it.
The
And that's the worst
Oh.
possible feeling. That's the worst possible, especially a difficult challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, something like the pulse carbine, or get kills with that, and you're like, well, hey, I actually did it. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna complete, and then disconnected. Well,
but like,
especially when they're ranked.
I gotta.
games.
Oh.
I see what you mean, Tim, and I agree with you, right?
Mhm.
But I see one reason I think Not saying that the progressive system is good at all right now, but what we are doing like sandbox specific things, right? Because let's say it said, get kills with shotguns. Okay. Well, all we have is a bulldog.
Well, I think
Get
it
kills
might be.
with,
I think
precision
well,
weapons.
what it'd end up being is they'd have to take it because they already have a built-in weapon classification system.
Yeah.
That's brought in, which is kinetic, energy, hardline.
Yeah.
I think,
Or shock. Yeah.
yeah. So, and I think it'd have to be tied something to it would be controllable because, like what people are talking about with Destiny, what makes the bounty system work well for so long is the fact that you can control your loadout there. Whereas with Halo, what makes Halo work so well as a competitive multiplayer is that everything is on the field and it's up to you to grab that.
Yeah.
But that also means that you're not controlling the weapon types you're going into a game with.
Yes.
To match your bounty progression, essentially your challenge progression. So it'd have to be something to relate to either your kill style, like precision kills, body shot kills, melee kills, grenade kills, something so that you have direct control over, essentially.
Yeah. Now, this is the other thing kind of mentioning with that. I think challenges have a very love-hate relationship in my type of play because I find this happening in not just Halo, but in a lot of games where they're very reliant on a challenge system.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when you get started matching in with players and it's very heavy on challenges, they don't focus on the game objective. They focus on, I don't care what you want. I have this challenge I need to complete. So screw what you guys want.
Agreed.
And I think that ranked needs to have a different challenge system than casual, and it needs to be based on game performance. It needs to be based on game performance, like win X amount of ranked matches or this amount of time on objective.
Right. Now, I think a way to remedy the situation is kind of piggybacking off of what you suggested of generalizing some things. So I think having kinetic, shock, like all those types of like, subclass of weapons, have those be the types of kills, precision weapons be those types of things. I think those would really, really help because it gives you a further option of what you have available to use.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not like you need 30 or 30 kills with a sniper
or a commando.
If you're going to do something like that, it needs to be a long grinded challenge like Call of Duty has in the past, where it's over time you unlock more things on your own. And you could link that to a battle pass because their model allegedly with Halo is once you purchase the battle pass, you have that forever. You can unlock through it forever. So that would be an excellent tie-in to be able to match that with over this long period of time. We'll raise the count, but it's not going to matter match on match because eventually you will get it. We'll still got our money. You still get your progression. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to find a solid balance for that because they're not really doing that right now. Now, to their credit, they have said that they are aware of it. They're working on it. It's not going to be an immediate fix, but it's definitely something that I think if you push too hard on challenges, you're going to really mess up the flow of what the game is intended for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Anything else on the points on this kind of section, or is there any weapons or vehicles that's classic game mode driven, new game mode you wanted to mention before we move on?
Bring back the forklift. They need to have a platform on there that you can grapple shot on.
Yes.
Thank you.
So you use it. Yeah.
I could see someone making a Forge map and it's just forklift simulator.
Yeah,
totally.
No.
That's just all it is.
They need to make sure that you can actually adjust, the height, as a
Yeah.
Yes.
Be able to adjust the height. You need to be able to bring up platforms, lift up, anything you can. Help your buddies out, raise them up above a wall, let them get some shots, and then lower them down so they don't hit. That's just basic 101. That's forklift 101 right there.
Here's a question.
Safety, baby.
Go ahead. Then I have something I want to
No. Go ahead, because this is tanging off something else entirely.
Do any of you guys want the Mantis back?
No.
The Mantis?
Yeah.
Gundams, baby, like all day.
I hated that thing. I thought it was cool, but I think it was horrible in gameplay.
But that's the point. It's just to look cool. Like that was just like a thing, like on the map. I remember on the map you got in and you looked cool. Like, just trying to kill people. You got fucked up, but you look cool doing it.
I think if it were to be introduced...
Forge.
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, bring it back in Forge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it should be a strictly customs based thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think to be brought back at all. I'm not saying purely
Probably
competitive, but
No,
sure, like,
I don't think it'll be brought back.
If they do like
Even
a full like
Forge.
if their big battle is if they do like full mechanized warfare where like all right it's only scorpions, mantises, wraiths, and banshees. You know?
Or I want to point out, and maybe not all of you will know this one, but if you want to have a mech, should I bring in a Cyclops?
What was the Cyclops?
The Cyclops is kind of just like the big, like super strong mech suit that Halo Wars use. It's like a melee anti-vehicle mech that can also like repair things.
Holy shit, that sounds overpowered.
Sounds like really
Yeah.
fun to be able
But
to
you
use.
cannot have, you can just have like, just like punch, or I don't know.
Well, you do the whole aliens bit where it's it's that versus Cyclops versus.
Tyler, yeah.
It's just and you just have a good time with it.
Especially since I bet we could see the goblins come back possibly to little mech suits that the grunts have.
Yeah.
That's like the boss, so.
Mm.
But I just thought I'd throw some stuff. I just thought I wanted to ask, like, would you want the Falcon back, or
Yes, yes, on the Falcon.
what do you want the
And-
Hornet, and what do you want an Elephant or something like it, or like open map?
I want
for
a
it.
larger passenger air vehicle.
I do
Yes.
too.
Here's the thing. The only way I could see this actually it ties into like when they start doing DLCs for like new season, here's a new map, new weapon, da da da. I could see them doing that, putting the elephant back in specifically when they drop the one sand map.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the
Having-
only time I've ever seen that.
Very specific
Yep.
usage. I completely agree with Pirate.
I
Very
agree with that
specific usage. They can definitely do kind of fun stuff with that.
Like-
And honestly, that makes those maps more enjoyable because then you have like, oh cool, you've got a really neat kind of fun little gimmick
Yeah.
that it has, and makes you want to play it even more. Or you know what, avoid it altogether, and you don't have to worry about seeing it elsewhere.
Or if
Yeah.
you have some big sand DLC open space.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like we have so many mobile bases in Halo that if we have a big open sandbox area, it just feels strange that we were not utilize any of that at all in 10 years.
I just want the big pirate ship battles that we used to do on Sand Trap.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
I want
great.
those back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are so much fun.
Let's work on your
Dude,
mangas.
honestly-
Dodges,
Works even better with
switch
that.
off one onto the other.
You'll get two reactions out of it. You'll get the people the OGs that'll be like, "Oh my freaking god, they brought it back," and
Yep.
then the new players that's like, "What the fuck
Why
is
is
this?"
this so slow?
Like, yeah, you'll get those, but they'll grow into it. You'll just grow. That's what honestly that was my
Run
reaction.
faster than
I was
this
like, "What
thing.
the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
But then
100%.
when we started doing that pirate shit on that, I'm like, all right, this is dope. This is fucking crazy.
Especially when you introduce the grapple, like Aggro said, like,
Oh,
dude, oh my god, can you imagine?
Being able to grapple over to other people's ships and kind of take
be
over while you. That'd be so freaking amazing.
That'd be great.
You know,
Either you
Just-
die, you live a legend, or you die a legend. Either way, you're a legend. So
It's funny that you mentioned that. Like, I'm thinking back to Halo 2.
Halo 3, maybe?
Yeah.
Or 2?
No,
2.
2. Definitely 2.
Right.
This was never a thing, but this is something that I thought of when I was playing it back in the day.
Yeah.
I was like, they need to make this. I want to see this a thing as like a multiplayer. The fucking gondolas on that one map, that one level,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
where it was like two gondolas going past each other, and
Yeah.
it stops, and then you'd have to like fight each other and then keep going. Like, I would like that shit.
Funny enough, right? The one map the horrible Gears of War game, it was a really bad one, but Judgment, the one map I enjoyed of that game, really, was you had that, of like, there were two gondolas, and you could fight the opponent
Yes.
passing the gondolas, and that was just fun.
We need to get like the hover sand things in like Star Wars, you know, for
Yeah.
like the Sarlacc pits and
Just-
whatever.
just,
Yes.
We just have those, and we just kind of drive by like, ah,
So
he's gonna die.
Last thing we did a variation of Rocket Race where you always put the one of the check marks on essentially, where it'll be on the road that the mammoth had to go on, and you'd have one group that was just trying to shoot the guy, so you're running the objectives.
nice.
It's like the duck hunt game mode where there's one person in the
The
middle,
duck
except
hunt
it's the
game
other
mode.
way around. It's
Yeah.
everyone trying to kill one person,
uh,
but they only have like the sidekick or whatever, or sidearm.
the last two sandbox ones. Do you think the Hornet or the Prowler or like even like Spartalage or like some of these other old things do they have a place in a sandbox to return to? Do you think?
I think in the big team, yes.
Hmm.
The Prowler, no. I don't think it was a very popular vehicle, to be honest.
Fair. I just thought of a brute vehicle, you know, but or like, do you think an APC fits in a sandbox with kind of the big team battle or opened kind of co-op when we have that?
I forgot about the problem.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of thinking that we've kind of had this kind of mentioned in previous discussion, but there are certain maps that certain items may make sense to have in. I certainly think that in the future, when they release certain maps, there's going to be options for them to include certain vehicles or certain weapons, like the Spartan laser, for instance, for big team battles or anything like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense for them to actually include. And you know what? If they decide not to include it, you know what? Whatever. It is what it is.
Of course.
But it makes sense for them to at least have it.
Yeah. Blue. There's something you wanted to. I went to, but go ahead.
One last game mode that I would like to see added, but this is something that the only way that this game mode could be added is if they brought the shotgun back, and that's shoddy snipers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that I guarantee that will come back.
I'm sure that'll come back, but they have to
guarantee
bring the shotgun. That's the only way that I could be like, all right, this is definitely coming back.
The one weapon I honestly don't know if they're going to bring back, in all honesty, is a DMR.
Because they have the replacement kind of with the new battle rifle.
Like, I see the plasma rifle, I can see the coveted carbine, I can see the beam rifle for like proper coveted sniper, right?
The DMR was perfection in my view. Honestly,
it was amazing.
I would like to
perfection.
see it, but
yeah,
I
disagree.
What you were talking about with the commando? What the commando is probably the closest thing to the DMR.
Yeah,
but
because you can single shot it.
You can single shot it, but the damage is like too low.
Yeah,
for it to be the replacement for DMR. That if they just bumped it up, sure.
Also, I think as time goes on, especially with the 10-year thing, right? With the sandbots, and it's one big sandbox, especially for the multiplayer, there's no way where we will not start having to have a repeat of weapon types. Because Pete's sake, you're going to keep on adding weapons. Obviously, you're going to have repeats. You won't be able to help it by some point.
Yeah.
You know, guns will function similar to other weapons, even vehicles.
Yeah.
So, it is still very possible it comes back, but at least if it does, I don't see that coming for a while. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, you know, in May when they hopefully do the first big content drop, at least some stuff, it's in there. Who the heck knows? No idea.
I think the way they could kind of like negate some weapons from being just duplicates of other weapons is if they made a switchable mode, like, you know, you have single fire and an auto fire.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the commando, if they switch, if they're like, all right, now you could single shot that weapon.
Yeah.
Because the DMR was such a head clicker. So you do the same thing with the commando, and you got a head clicker. So
yeah. Do we want to go to monetization, because now we are like nearly 2.5 hours, and we should wrap up soon.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
and we
sense.
can't really talk about monetization, so maybe just a little bit on it. You know,
Yeah,
I might even set like a 10-minute timer. And we won't
Yeah,
do fully order, just whoever has a point, speak up, you know. And then we just do tiny random talks and then call it, I think.
Mm.
I was just gonna say, I think we've kind of covered a lot of the important stuff about the
Agreed.
monetization. We've kind of discussed the fact that there's, for starters, I think I was the one who brought up rewards in the first place, and then Tim brought up some stuff about like having the progression system, and same with Chipmunk.
Yep.
There's been a lot of really important discussion that we've had kind of about that. I think just the most important part that I have to say is that as far as monetization goes, it could be better. It could certainly be better.
Mhm.
I do like the idea of having the one thing I will say that they did well. They did very, very well was the fact that you get to keep the battle pass. It's not just like, oh,
Agreed.
well now that you paid for it, you know, if you didn't complete it by, you know, X day after X days, well, too bad. You just
Yep.
spent your money. And that's
Yeah.
what I commend them. I commend them for doing something
I
like
do
that.
too.
And
Absolutely.
that is honestly a positive thing, and I honestly wish that more companies kept that, because if you pay for something, you should at least be able to reap the rewards for it, even
Right,
if it
yeah.
takes you a lot longer to be able to do so. I mean, arguably, some people pay, you know, subscription-based things. You know, there's a lot of stuff that can be said about that.
Yeah.
But as far as what they did well, I'm saying that they made that decision that decision was a very well thought out and very good decision for what they did.
Yes.
I agree.
As
Agreed.
far as what they could do better, what I have to say is that having the rewards for the battle passes, just going to go back to that, and having the progression system make more sense, and with the bounties and everything, if they kind of tweak those things, I think that it makes more sense for them to pay, you know, somebody pay $10 and get good rewards out of it. Even if it's cosmetics, that total value, you know, in today's society with microtransactions and everything, it's a lot more than $10. And I
Agreed.
think
Yeah. But
that makes sense.
Hey,
That makes sense if they change that. But
Yeah.
as it stands right now, I don't think the battle passes are truly worth it.
yeah.
I don't think you
Yeah.
get good enough rewards. As far as what you're paying for, you're not getting a good enough value out of the money that you're putting into it. And how it's marketed could probably be done a little bit better.
If I want to point out that something else with the battle with the monetization in general is also they are monetizing nostalgia in a
Yes.
sense
Yep.
of,
Yes.
you know, one specifically at the Big Lord Life for me, you know, I noticed like one of the charms is a little teddy bear. And for fans of Halo Legends, will remember that is from a Spartan called Daisy 23. It's a little teddy charm on her all the time, red armor, the CQB helmet from 3. And
The fact that this pass is called the Reach or whatever, something.
yeah, but
Yeah.
also with that, you know, you did get like the full suit for Carter or June or Cat, right? But and for like the shoulder piece or like one of the shoulder pieces for George, you have to buy outright.
Yeah.
That's not in the battle pass.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel really okay. Like, why split it up like this?
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, again, there are instances where, again, they could probably have done it better.
Yeah.
Especially for Reach specific stuff. If this
Yeah.
whole entire battle pass is supposed to be about Reach and, you know, bringing back nostalgia for it, they should have at least included all the stuff
From Reach.
Reach.
No, like,
instead of-
like even yesterday, I'm not sure if it's for the week store, the daily store, right? But I saw like the Reach aerosol stuff. So like the helmet attachment and aerosol shoulder pads, and that is like $15 or $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, my main Halo helmet is still a pilot helmet from Reach, and that is not in game yet. You know,
I think
so. And who knows? You might have to be bought outright, or it'll be out to the battle pass. No idea.
it's like all encompassing with the monetization. I know I said this earlier, but I get in live service games, they're not my favorite. I don't think microtransactions are the best in every scenario.
Agreed.
But I can understand to a certain degree, and I'm okay with being charged for things
Of course.
because I understand you have to run the game. Like nobody's getting mad at RuneScape that there's a $10 a month subscription fee. Well, no shit. There's stuff in the game that they have to operate the servers. Like that's the point.
Obviously.
But in things like Overwatch, it goes a little further because they really harp on that loot box thing, but they try to make it like, no, we're not charging you for that. Just own it. And what surprises me the most about this game's pricing model is the fact that in MCC it's the exact same company, and they nailed it down to a perfection in MCC of how the progression works, about how you earn things. If you want to buy something, you can, and it just blows my mind that it was such a jump. Because even now they're nailing it in MCC. They're continuously releasing things. They're continuously progressing, and the fact that they have that to where you can cross things over the games on MCC, it's absolutely nuts to me that there was this large of a disconnect.
I'm gonna say that I also love the fact in MCC, the fact that you can pick your rewards.
Right.
Choose what you want instead of saying, "Here's an XP boost."
Right. And even if I paid for the credits, I would much rather that be the case. Now, I agree with you on the Battle Pass. I think the fact that it's always going to be yours, an amazing first step in an industry that does not want to do that.
It's fantastic. I fully agree with both of you. Like, massive, bonus points coming to them. It's a fantastic step.
Yeah. Now, what I will also agree with is the nickel and diming is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the fact that with the way the customization is set up, I think if it was a more modular approach, I don't think people would be as angry about spending $15 on certain things, or $20 on packs of this, or $5 on this. But the fact that it's so limited where you can't push it across anything you want, you can't have the modularization.
It's limited to one armor set.
Right. Well, same thing with the coatings.
Yeah. Well, it's not even like that altogether. But when I was going through looking at the bundles earlier, I was like, this is kind of weird. And I keep on drawing this comparison, but when you're looking at a live service game, no game really does it as well currently as Destiny, where if you buy your season pass, you get 2 full cosmetics, and they're like buying a cosmetic set in Destiny is about the same as buying a bundle in Halo, where it's about $10. And you also get a ornament, which is a cosmetic for one of your legendary guns, and a couple other things. So altogether, your value for season pass that you spend $10 on comes up to being about $30-$40. So it's a full ornament set. Well, 2 full ornament sets. So you get your money's worth there. Whereas in Halo, you get like 3 half armor sets. But when you look at the bundles, outside of the current promotional ones that are currently the Halo Championship Series, I might buy the Cloud9 armor. I'm not gonna lie.
There you go.
But
when you look at the daily bundles, we're like, okay, here's 3 helmets, 2 visors, and a tag. You're like, it feels like someone just reached into a bin and grabbed a bunch of stuff and scooped it into a box. And here's your loot crate.
Here's our $5 mystery bag.
If there was thing where okay, $10, here's the entire Hayabusa set. Here's $10, here's the entire EVA set. We're like, I'd consider doing that to get a full armor set of something that was
I agree.
But the fact that it feels, because again, I mean, I'm used to paying for microtransactions to keep a game running. Destiny's my thing, but you want to have the sense of completion when you make a purchase, where not only does it help your sense of innate value gain, but also it helps with the sort of the uniqueness of it, where then when you combine those different things, I bought 5 sets, so I can make my own combination of these 5 armors together. Whereas if you buy 5 bundles, you're like, I got 6 helmets and 2 shoulder pads.
And I can't combine any of it.
I fully agree.
I think it's also interesting kind of relating it to Siege. Siege has had a long time problem with cosmetics in a sense of quality. Now, what they've done with this season that they just launched is very interesting because they heard that feedback. While, yes, the overall understanding and purchasing of a lot of their stuff, nobody really had an issue with. Because, like you said, you get a completionist feel out of that. You feel like you got what you paid for.
Yeah.
And an elite skin for Siege, well, I think it's I forget if it's $10 or $20.
It's $20. I remember getting the glass skin on PlayStation.
Yeah, you get a whole, you get a headgear, a uniform, a weapon skin, an attachment, and a charm usually.
And a victory pose.
And an ending animation with a victory pose as well. A unique one. Now, the way that they have this restructuring of it is they're doing it a little bit modular, so where you're not pinned into, okay, I bought the elite set, but I can only have this the whole thing. Now it can be, I want the elite animation, but I can have this headgear that I like, and this uniform that I like, and this weapon skin that I like, and this attachment that I like. So it's an all-encompassing, like, you feel like you really got your money's worth because you can use it anywhere. And additionally with that, they put in player cards icons that you can get for your operator. And I think if they had something like that with this, it would really incentivize people to want to purchase those types of things. But when you offer nothing,
Yeah.
it doesn't make me want to spend the $15.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll say also, I'll addendum any conversation I have over microtransactions with Halo keeping the structure that is, that everything that we use to win the game is on map. You don't have to buy your key to dropping the spanker.
Warzone.
Yeah, when games like Warzone and Valorant exist, where you can load up the game and you're going to lose every time to someone who spent $20 on X weapon pack or X champion.
Well, that happened in Halo 5 at launch, did it
Oh,
not?
it happened a ton.
The rec
And it was a
packs?
problem
Yeah.
for the longest time because you could
Yeah.
buy,
Terrible.
you could spend like $200, $300, and people did. And you
Mhm.
have a
Tanks on
giant
tanks on tanks.
armory of
Yep.
scorpions and mantises and wasps and
Yeah.
Spartan
Yeah, that's-
lasers and all the weapons you could think of. And you just never ran out of gear.
And we don't want to go back to that. Yeah.
No, we don't.
So, yeah.
So, like, the two things are thinking. One thing I don't like about Rainbow's customization, I will admit though, Chipmunk, Legend is, like, I remember, I wasn't such a great skin, but I liked it, right? Like, I remember the FBI skin for Castle, right?
Yeah.
That I remember they tried to get on PlayStation, and then I took my break, I came back, skin's gone. You can't get it at all anymore. Like, they pulled multiple skins from Rainbow Six.
There's been a few, and I will say Siege's problem in particular is their variety. They
don't like
really
that.
play and cater to what's popular, and
Yeah,
I think that that's probably not going to be a good model to introduce into this.
agree.
But what I will say is, with all of our thoughts on it now, and they addressed this with how bad like the event pass was
Oh,
in
yeah.
comparison to mixing with regular challenges, like it wasn't just on its own. That people had a problem with, so you
Mhm.
couldn't really earn anything in the event pass. They took a lot of feedback from that and went, okay, so death threatening our employees, not cool. Don't do that. That's ridiculous.
Of
Mhm.
course.
We understand you don't like it. We're gonna fix it, but like, damn,
Yeah.
chill
Yes,
out.
Not appropriate.
If you don't like it, just let us know in a
Yeah.
non-threatening way.
Yeah.
Right.
Address it
Preferably.
before
Yeah.
instead of having to address the threats first. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they do to fix it because they said they're working on it. I know it's not going to be a
Yes.
light switch fix.
Well, you need to fix it before I burn your house down.
Yeah, well, I think it's also like what I think is really cool about like our conversation here is Landon and I went to school for this, and everyone else's experience with it, like, constructive criticism. The idea like we're not just talking like bad fix. We're saying like here's what I'd like to see change. Like I feel like this would be beneficial to the
Yes.
forward. So that's just something for the internet in general. I think people need to learn is the difference between constructive criticism and being like gay bad fix.
Like,
Like there are different ways to sell someone to go fuck themselves.
yes. Like, first of all, side off point there, but you mentioning like burning their house down reminded me of a police call I learned about years ago for the Call of Duty studio. Did you guys hear about this?
No.
I have
Right.
not.
So, someone called the cops, all right, and they thought there's an active shooter.
Oh
And
yeah.
then it turned out to be a statue in the dev studio of a soldier.
Jesus.
They like stormed the building and said, "Can't." The whole commotion.
That is hilarious.
So, I think some alarm went off. Some solid alarm went off by accident, right? And then they like came and they saw the guy with the gun in the window. So they freaked out and thought it's an active shooter. So, yeah, that did change my mind. Completely random, but on a point of monetization, I agree with you guys fully. Like the armor section does not affect me as much. Because the only two things I really want to get is my damn pilot helmet back and my gold dark color. And a pilot pilot helmet did not have a full suit. It literally was just a helmet and some attachments. So, but no, I agree, and that it should be like full sets, and it should be, you know, there are good things and there are bad things, but we are hopefully going to move into a good system. But I want to point this out too, and as I said, the thing that got me into Halo, one big thing with the community. I love Forge. I loved how welcoming people were, custom games. I love so much of this, right? But bloody heck. And the whole community's not like this. There's still a lot of great people in the community for Halo. But there's such a toxic aspect too. And I think we saw it very clearly, especially with the whole Reddit threats.
Yeah.
And this is just not appropriate.
Yeah.
No.
Like
Now,
go ahead,
this
Matt.
may be I may be in the single grouping for this one,
Yeah.
but I do not want Ninja in this scene. I hate him. He has no place.
I
And
know.
I say that proudly. He's a piece of garbage.
I'm indifferent. I'm totally indifferent.
I don't even know that name. So,
Wait, who?
Ninja.
Yeah,
He
You know
he
what?
started as a pro player in Halo back
Yeah.
in Halo 3 days, and then he became what he became. And when Infinite launched, he's now like, I'm coming back to competitive Halo, and I was like, I would literally rather drink bleach than watch you play Halo.
I don't want him to be. If anyone's should get like promoted over everything in Halo, the guy who Ninja's entire career is following Tfue from Halo to Fortnite, Destiny a little bit, going back. Like Tfue is also just a very like chill guy. I think his setup is still just a basic like face cam in front of like his laundry machine.
It's just I don't
That's
know.
amazing.
I feel as though a lot of the toxicity that is in the Halo community, like you mentioned, is people like him.
Yeah.
And there's just zero place for that because it's people who act like children, who can't take a loss, who can't understand criticism, and any change that they don't like, it's not, I don't like this, I wish it was fixed. It was, God, I hope you and your whole family die because you made a decision that someone who makes 7 figures made and told you to do it anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And you also see it like discussions at Waypoint of just like, I hate this, don't want this, they should die. And it's just like simple, just like, this is not Halo should not be like this. Of does the massive arts change or balancing change or gameplay, whatever, and it's like, fine. For example, with Halo 4, I really did not like the art shift. But I didn't threaten people, I didn't yell at people, say, fuck you, I hope you die in a pool of blood. I did not do that. And you should not do that. That's ridiculous. Like, how are you? How old are you? 7?
What if
5?
I'm looking at the mirror as I yell that? What if I'm looking at the mirror? That's a different story, right?
Phil, you have a very deep problem, and we should get you some help.
Man in the mirror.
Personally. But no, it's just, I wanted to address that a tiny bit, and what's on our list, but after thinking about the devs, and just stuff I've seen over the years, like, one reason I kind of took a break from Halo was just, I just had enough of the toxicity of the community. Like, there's still so many great people about it, but those days of just like meeting people online and hopping into custom games, you don't have it as much anymore. And I'm hoping we get that when Force comes and Infinite, but we'll see. But anything else anyone want to say about the game specifically, or do you want to just move on to just final thoughts and small little convo before we wrap up? Since
I got nothing.
I feel like we've talked a lot about kind of everything throughout this entire thing, so I feel like a lot has been said.
agreed.
Yeah, we have succeeded in making me. I'm supposed to do campaign master a game of Vampire the Masquerade after this, but now I just want to play more Halo.
I know. Well, I mean, Aggro, we can message the group chat and say, hey, we're doing Infinite tonight.
I
We finished that campaign, though, so...
I still want to do a custom game lobby with a whole bunch of people. Hopefully next week.
Yeah, we were having a lot of fun when we were doing that.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I was kind of rude a couple of times where I snuck behind you and killed you when you were trying to. But then you sniped me a couple times in response, so you know.
Yeah,
That's
they're pretty bad. They're pretty bad. But no, like those toys I showed you with the saber and what did I want also with the Oni van? Totally no reason for that. But there's just a random ass truck. There's always the scenery and reach. I did made it drivable. I gave it a black paint job for Oni, and I want that back in Infinite now.
Bring
more stuff with
back
Oni.
pickup truck. Bring back pickup truck.
Oh, I forgot about the pickup truck.
It's cool.
Yeah.
But, I
Pickup
mean-
truck, forklift. These are the important vehicles.
And a
in-
cart. You can't forget the electric cart.
Yes.
And an Oni van, and a pickup, and a forklift, and the truck with the
I
big
think what
trailer.
we're all missing is we need Virgil back.
Oh yeah.
Bring back Virgil.
Honestly,
What are you afraid of?
actually,
What are you?
wait, Virgil the engineer or Virgil the city?
The space ostrich.
Okay, yes. Well, that, but also Tim mentioned, and I could see this happening. We could have a campaign in New Mombasa again.
Yeah, because of the amount of assets that are in there for New Mombasa. But also the fact that we already got a mention to Lord Hood, which was the AI running Earth's orbital fences, but also Superintendent is one of the AIs you can pick up.
Oh yeah.
And also he's mentioned in a couple other Easter eggs, and like Superintendent is one of those guys that like you either read the books or you've played through like did the extra parts of ODST to get, or remember the Halo 2 like promotional material that with I Love Bees, the Superintendent.
I love bees.
Yeah.
Also, I love that the Razorback is from I Love Bees.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're pulling stuff from all sorts, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
And this will be a throwback for some of the community, but shout out to Commander Melander, and just remember if you want to get better at Halo, just flip your Banshee. That's all you gotta do.
Up the Banshee.
Yep.
alright, guys, I think that wraps up our Halo Infinite discussion. We all love it, I think, right?
Yeah.
More or less.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So much fun.
Anything else you wanted to say about, you know, what you've been doing, watching, up to, playing, recommendations you want to give to people, just little nippets about yourself?
I am
That's
the
been
only one without a
Halo.
beard. I'm just gonna say, I'm the only one without a beard on this stream.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Maybe
I-
I've
that
been waiting
is
to
what you
say
need.
that for this time.
I've
this
been
entire
thinking-
stream. I didn't want to mention anything.
I thought about an hour ago, but I thought,
Yep.
wait.
That was my first thought when I saw everyone on here. I'm like, well, I'm the only one who shaved today, so you know what? You know what? That's okay. That's okay.
Is it bad that I didn't notice?
I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate it because I just had the honorary facial hair, but I don't.
Yeah.
I thought that was just. I thought that was just you. This is smooth. We should just next podcast just invert.
Oh, God.
I'm the
my
only one with
God.
a beard and everyone else is shaved. It's
My
like,
girlfriend would kill me.
I can.
I know, I'm keeping my beard. But,
I turned into a thumb.
oh no,
Yeah, beardness is next to godliness.
Yes.
I
Godliness
do not
next to
grow facial hair
beardliness.
in general. I think my facial hair is blonde, so when I do grow it, you wouldn't even see it on stream. So I
Ooh.
shaved it off just because I'm like, well, it looks better in real life to not have stubble.
Gotta make it longer.
Yeah. I tried, and it ended up getting really patchy. So did not like.
Yeah.
Did not.
Understandable.
Just get a beard weave.
for me,
Yeah.
simple. Do what I did, you know. Break your hip, land in the hospital for like 2 weeks, and then you'll just magically grow on it without realizing you can never have one, and then it'll never leave you.
I'm sorry. 2 weeks. It's gonna have to be like a year. I do not grow facial hair very quickly. Like I didn't shave once for like 3 months, and I basically had like 1/4 inch hairs, and that was the length of my beard. It was a 1/4 inch.
My
I'm like,
dude, you
oh,
had all of 2020. What were you doing the whole time? Just shaving?
working.
By
Now
the
here's a
way-
hack. Biological hack. Move to Florida. It grows a 1/2 inch faster.
Oh my God. Also, listen,
Use your
Walt.
noggin.
I forgot to put him in the background. He got him at my first convention I went to in Seattle.
Hell
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I will say the round of toys for this game has been pretty cool. Like
Hell
I
yeah.
got the Warthog. I got some of these little mini head things. And on their own, they're pretty cool. But when you open them up, they have like a little diorama you can make with little Lego thingies.
That is
Oh, that's
awesome.
cool.
Like,
And they have like a whole bunch of Nerf weapons and shit.
But-
It's awesome.
The lack of Mega Blocks, though.
the
This is
one,
what I mean.
the one thing though, and that you
Right,
guys,
your lack of Mega Blocks.
even though we finished the Halo discussion, really, I want to point out one last thing that I left out of earlier, since you made me think of it, is that it not really fully bothers me, but the fact that we, like, they marketed certain things, right? That were supposed to be infinite, instead maybe like campaign exclusive, or, and like it's in the code, right?
Mm.
That like if you data mine the code and you go to custom games, you just spawn the model. It's not fully finished, but it's there, you know?
Mm.
And the fact that these things were hinted over a year ago and they're not in game yet kind of irks me a tiny bit.
I think it's
I
part
would
just part of
say
the
that.
operating as a service fact that we're going to get seasonal, either seasonal passes or some sort of seasonal content, and there's going to be, we already have like confirmation that the next campaign chapter is in progress, so
Yeah.
it makes things might be something's annual or biannual. I mean, when you look at compare that to again another game of service, but something like
Destiny?
I guess Destiny or even the way Warzone gets managed, where they'll tease that stuff 3 years down the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew the current trilogy of Destiny expansions. We knew about this before this trilogy started,
Yeah.
essentially.
No, that's fair. And like that's actually matter one of like the other example I thought of was back in Inside Infinite for the Sandbox discussion a year ago in January almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they hinted at a vehicle like we just gonna work on a new vehicle. It's like the mix between like the Warthog and Scorpion.
Mhm.
And again, through data mining, like I'm not gonna say what it is for the sake of spoilers for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like
Mhm.
I know exactly what that thing is. I know it's gonna be in the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, and I think
It's-
some of the stuff may also be because like
So-
the expansion already having been in progress. We don't know how long or not the expansion, but I guess the next chapter.
Yeah.
But then they said that on 343 announced Infinite, they said it's not going to be a game; it's going to be a platform.
Yeah.
And then immediately the day Infinite launches, we get the reports from the copyright office saying that Microsoft has copyrighted Halo: The Endless. They have already have had a pitch essentially with some sort of development and unique code in order for them to then file that patent and copyright, because they have to have something to copyright. So some of the stuff is probably something that's going to be released with the expansion, but they'd have the anchors already in place, cause that way the expansion takes less time and less space to actually apply.
And maybe something else to think of is that, they originally were planning to release it a year ago. And a lot of the upgrades seems more visual for its capability, But I bet you if they were planning to release it a year ago, right? They most likely already started to work all that post-launch stuff then.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, who knows how far in development it is by now,
Yeah.
Any new vehicles or weapons or story, campaign, etc. But, yeah, I did want to point it out. But any other random thoughts you guys want to do? Any else you want to share about your lives or what shows you've been watching or playing or just something random, whatever. Could be anything you want. Really doesn't
I
matter.
have one question for Pirate. Heads or tails?
Tails.
All right, there you go. You'll see what it is in a second.
Okay. I'm excited.
You won't be.
Okay.
You chose
I'm excited.
tails, you have
It's in relation to your stream, by the way.
Ultra Man, this looks really cool. I
Okay.
gotta say, the art you're doing.
Oh shit.
Wait, what did you do?
Thanks for that. Actually.
I've had his stream up for a bit, and he has a reward on there for channel points for either push-ups or sit-ups.
No, that's actually good because I like
That's
those two beers that I had were starting to get me like sleepy. I was like, oh fuck, like I don't want to go to bed. I want to play some Halo after this.
Hey, I'd be down to do some Halo with you all if you want. Or
I was gonna continue playing the campaign. For
okay. Then do it. Campaign is so good.
Yeah, it is.
I'm
Yeah.
doing my push-ups right
Also, we'll get into it again next week. But
Yeah.
after you beat the campaign and log back into the overmap, the grunt dialogue and how that changes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Dude,
in
they
it?
have so much dialogue. Like
Oh,
when
yeah.
they kill you and shit, they're so cocky. Like I've
Yeah.
told them,
One thing
the
that
reward is mine.
annoys or not annoys me, right? It's not annoying, but it just makes me wish we had Forge now. What's the fact that bosses, unsurprisingly, some have unique weapons that you can't pick up, and you
Yeah.
just since they said weapon variations won't be in Forge, you know it will be in a multiplayer. It's just
Yeah.
not able yet. And
Also,
like,
I don't know if
damn.
you've noticed, but a lot of the weapon variations are very, very interesting Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I do enjoy. Quite enjoyed them. But like the shotgun pistol, I can't remember what exactly it's referencing to, but
Ow.
the shotgun plasma pistol.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
At the beginning. No, that's great. I'm not gonna spoil too much of that, but just it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I'm trying to think what else that's live. I heard it's actually like last week I recommended the show Super Crooks, but I might say it again just because Pirate's here and you might not have heard it. Kind of a show, basically a show based on a graphic novel that it's a superpowered society, right? Like if you guys if you saw a bit of Invincible, kind of a bit like that world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the main protagonist is a robber,
Okay.
a criminal, and like the story is like they pull a giant heist on,
Interesting.
the big crime, like the big kingpin of their world, and it's called Super Crooks. It's on Netflix as exclusive thing, so guys might like it. Besides that, not much else. Just been, doing live filming here in a few weeks. And I also been rewatching a bit of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Love that show.
9-9?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good. 9-9. Dude, wait. How far are you in?
Oh, I finished the show.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah, I've been watching it for years.
Oh, okay.
I just rewatched some episodes, but
I forgot how far I got, but
it's a great show. They just ended it a few months ago.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you guys have ever watched Dexter, but New Blood is actually pretty good. Serial killers, man.
Never got into New Blood or Dexter.
There's something I got too. What that I am excited for is The Boys new season.
Season 2.
The boys.
Yeah.
And
Isn't it season 3?
but
is
season
it
three.
season
Season 3.
I'm sorry, yeah, sorry.
Right?
Yes,
Season 3.
my bad.
And I've also been watching Dreadlock season 2, which I've been very mixed feelings.
Finally
on.
out.
Oh, finally! But I have such mixed feelings for this season, I will admit. And Young Justice season 4, which they also have very mixed feelings about. In all honesty, so
I've just been watching The Expanse since that new season just dropped,
Nice.
and
I've been needing
Okay.
to rewatch. I need to rewatch the entire thing because I got to season 3 and then I lost access to Amazon Prime for like a year.
oh yeah,
Ooh.
Released season 4, and then I'm like, well, I don't remember anything that happens in here, so now I've got to rewatch it. And every
Shit.
time that I get started, I stop because something comes up, and then they released the new season 5 just a little bit ago, right?
this is season 6.
Or season 6, yeah.
Yeah.
They released season 5, and I'm like, oh, now I've got to rewatch it. And got started. I'm like, well, now I've got even further to go.
Yep.
Favorite arc is season 1.5. Favorite arc, season 1.5. Favorite arc.
I still have to watch Owl House that you recommended me, Phil. That's on my list.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Apparently they released season 2-ish. I haven't seen it, so
I have so many things on my list. That Enchanted.
watch
some of the
Gravity
things.
Falls. Watch Gravity Falls because that's, as far as cartoons go, that's like the best cartoon ever.
Also
Alex
on my
Hirsch is
list.
phenomenal.
He is. Some of
I
his other
love
work.
him.
Some of his other work is okay. As a voice actor, though, he's always been phenomenal. And his, again, Gravity Falls is really good. The new show that they released or whatever called
Inside Job.
Inside Job.
Yep.
It was all right. It was definitely less enjoyable than Gravity Falls, but
For sure.
I still found it kind of fun.
It's that's also my list. And another one is I actually just started trying out Space Force. Which I still have to finish the first episode. But I got interrupted, so. But it's something I want to watch, and I'm excited for the second season of Resident Alien, which Tim hooked me on.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of that awkward moment where all of your friends are talking about all these action shows and everything like that, and like these comedies and everything. Meanwhile, I've been here just watching isekai harems, like just isekai harem anime, like for the past like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, I too watch shows.
I was like, yes, real people, huh? Yeah,
That's nice. I have some people that you need to meet.
Have you watched?
First, let's go and its art.
Pirate, it's an older show, but have you seen Toradora before?
What is it?
You watched Toradora before?
Toradora, no. Toradora, no. I'll have to check that out.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
I gotta.
Wait. How do you spell it?
I put it in general.
Toradora. Yeah. I mean.
What?
Have you seen it?
No. I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
All right, I have it up now.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I don't typically watch a lot of anime just because I never get around to it.
Not a weeb.
I'll put it on my list because there's been a lot of anime lately that's been coming out like brand new, and they're so good, but they're still coming out with them. It's like, so I have to wait a week till the next one drops. So it's like, fuck, I don't know what to watch now. A and B, by the time I'm finished watching them, it's like, wait, it's already done, and it's only been 12 episodes.
Dude, Castlevania, it's less anime. It's anime, I guess.
Yeah.
But less like anime. Castlevania.
Yeah, I've seen some clips of it. I haven't gotten around to watching it. It looks crazy. It looks crazy.
I watched the first season. I gotta go back to that.
It is great.
Yeah.
I will say latest season, still good. Still good. But a lot less enjoyable than the first 3 seasons.
I've also heard a League of Legends show is not that bad.
Yeah, Arcane is actually really good.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: it's too popular. Everyone's watching it. I'm gonna wait till it dies down, and then I'll watch.
Only animes I've watched the past year are both on break were Attack on Titan and My Hero Academia. And no, I feel there's something else, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, Dr. Stone. I started watching and I enjoyed that actually a lot. And I want to watch Cowboy Bebop. It's on my list. I have to see it, but I just been trying to find time.
They canceled Cowboy Bebop.
I know.
They should have.
And then the creator died a day later.
Did he really?
The creator, she died because the live adaptation was so bad. That's why she died. She said, "My body can't handle it anymore. I'm just gonna go."
Wow. All right, y'all. Peace. Dude.
Oh my.
Dies.
Meanwhile, the creator of Gray Man gets stuck in a near-life ending car accident, falls off a literal cliff, and is like just trying to pencil out like one page at a time. Everyone just waits for Gray Man on a 20-year hiatus.
Guys, I think we can wrap up in a few, but I want to do a special shout out at the end of the show. As well as a big thank you for all you guys. But before that, since we did have a big event in the gaming industry the past week, here's 2 little prompt questions. A, what do you think of the Game Awards? And B, was there any announcements you saw that made you excited?
I will admit, have not seen Game Awards yet.
Okay.
All I know is that Starfield was announced the most anticipated, and I don't even care about Starfield. So
fair.
That's all I know.
The only thing I know was that they teased the Halo show.
Oh yeah.
That was Halo show. Yeah.
Yeah. Paramount is doing actual.
Great.
Yeah. Entirely. All right.
The Harem show.
The Harem show, yeah.
I was really like, huh?
The what?
Yeah,
I don't remember that at all.
that's what draws pirates' attention, people.
No, but yeah, the Halo TV show, that shit looked crazy.
Yeah,
Yep.
'cause it's supposed to take place after or around the same time as Halo 1, right?
I think.
The beginning of the Covenant War. Beginning of the war.
Well,
against the Covenant.
Ooh.
well, wait, no. Now I'm stretching my yellow muscles here, but that's not the beginning of the war, though. That's the end of the war. The beginning of the war was Halo
before that.
Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, was that?
Yeah, that Halo Wars takes place just a few months after the invasion of Harvest.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the first year.
Which is like
so-
right before Reach, I think, or maybe same time.
No,
Yep.
Reach.
No,
is
for
the-
Halo Wars.
Reach is the end of the war.
Yeah.
Like
Reach is
the-
about the point.
The
Yeah,
last year of the war, basically, Reach was invaded. Then a Pillar of Autumn, made random subspace jump to Installation 04, right? then,
yeah. Okay, I got
Right
you.
after that, the Battle of Earth happened to start into the war, and that was already 25 years into the war.
Yeah. Once the Arbiter's Rebellion happens, the Covenant felt like all the infighting, essentially all the other Covenant defenses fell apart. They couldn't do anything. It's just the prophet of, was it Truth who brought High Charity back?
Truth,
He's the only one
yeah.
who's still active, but he only had one ship.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but also the Star Wars game was announced this week.
Yes. What was this? What's it called? Like Eclipse?
Eclipse, Old Republic.
No.
Yes.
No,
No, not High
High
Republic.
High Republic.
But, yeah, I saw that, but it's David
I-
just had some interesting history.
I was gonna say I wanted to ask you about that, Brooke. I'm like, is it pre Old Republic?
No, post.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
no.
it's-
High Republic is the new stuff, and that's supposed to
Yeah.
be because Old Republic was 3,000 years before Battle of Yavin. High Republic, I think, it was 5,000 years.
Okay,
Wait,
so
what?
it's
No.
So-
Wait, repeat that one more time, Tim. Because
So
that's-
Old Republic is about 3,000 years before Battle of Yavin. High
Yeah.
Republic, I believe, is supposed to be 5,000 years before Battle of Yavin.
No. High Republic's like 900 years before Battle of Naboo.
Hmm.
It's like between Old Republic and the Battle of Naboo, which is.
Oh,
technically
yeah.
from Clone Wars, which is 20
Yes.
years before Battle of Yavin.
wait,
Okay,
wait.
something else, yes.
But
Yeah.
how would that be? But I don't know. You guys explain this to me. But to me, High Republic means like a whole new regime. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
High
so
Republic
Yeah.
came after the Old Republic because the Old
yeah, High
Republic.
Republic is 300 years before Battle of Yavin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, yeah.
So-
Yeah.
So
So it's supposed to be at the height of the Republic's power after the fall of the Sith Empire.
Yes.
800
Oh.
years. Yeah.
Because it was Old Republic, and then there was the
So
okay.
Republic.
so- yeah. So it was. Yeah.
what's their face?
So basically, Darth Bane and all them
Yeah.
this time.
Well, they're
Like at
Bane
that
is
time.
dead by that point, I think. But the rule of two, Bane's lineage is happening
Just got-
at that time.
Just got instilled at that point. Right?
I don't think. I think it's near the most likely end.
This is shortly after the time of Bane. So this is.
Like
is
Yoda
Bane-
is around. He's alive
Yeah.
at this
Yeah.
time. So
Because Bane's time was about
a
a
thousand.
thousand.
before
Yeah.
Yavin?
So.
Yeah.
So this is after the rule of many. Bane Darth Tenebrous' whole thing gets wacky,
Yeah,
and then
that's right.
after the end of the Second Great War, Bane decides we need to have less Sith, so more power is concentrated and creates the rule of two.
Yeah.
Mm.
If I had my Darth Plagueis book, I'd pull it out right now, but that's over this itself.
Mhm.
But since
Sir,
I have
this
that,
is a PG-13 stream.
yes, totally. With this group of
Have you heard the
people, I
story of
made
Darth
it
Plagueis
PG-13. There's
It's
actually
not a story I would tell you.
there's a great Darth Plagueis device. Me, I'm gonna send to you, Lou, but I don't remember what frick it was. some of it are funny. I'll see what to pull it out later and send it to you, or send it to all you guys. But the last of the Game Awards, I will say, and it's mostly directed to Tim because it's Warhammer related.
Yes.
Space Marine 2 was
Yes.
announced after 10 years.
And are fighting some dirty freaking gene stealers.
That was surprising, and I actually thought there might have been a DLC announced for the Battle Sector, considering the same foes for a second
Right.
there. But I am happy for that. I'm excited to do that, and when that comes out, you and I are doing a podcast episode on that.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
And our boy Captain Titus has undergone the Rubicon Primaris and is now even stronger.
Perfect. I would still have to finish our game, too. But
Right.
I'm hyped for that, and I'm surprised after 10 years they have made an announcement for that, but
Yeah, no, it's real out of left field.
totally.
Also, we are getting the Dune RTS again.
Oh, yeah.
We are?
Yep.
Yep.
Where'd you see that?
One of the trailers at the Game Awards was for a Dune RTS.
Ah, that's what I totally missed. Well, cool. Not complaining. Alright. So, I want to first thank you all for being here. You know, it was somewhat organized, but also slightly unorganized, or last minute too, in some ways, and in other ways very organized. So, thank you for dealing with the hurdles, and also just all coming together and talking here with me today. It was amazing. I know at least some of you will be here next week together with me. And, you know, you're all welcome to join whatever you're interested in the topic, you know. Because it's fantastic having you all here. And welcome, Phil, for your first time on the show. You did a great job.
I've had a lot of fun. So, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Thank you so much.
Of course. And I also kind of want to first I want you all to say where people can find you, even though we have the links right below. And then I want to do a special shout out to a friend for her birthday that I noticed.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, I guess I'll go first because I'm the least accessible, since I don't do really any content creation right now yet.
Oh shit!
Oh man, boy, here it comes. No, right now I'm accessible on Twitter at Nonsurplus, on Twitch at Nonsurplus, or on Discord Nonsurplus. So
Got the
that-
branding down.
I have the branding down. You know, I have a Twitter that's like Phil, and then it's like a bunch of random numbers. So it's like I have that if I need to, but it's a lot easier to kind of tell somebody, you know what, this is my name. That's all you gotta. That's all you gotta tag.
Google me.
That's all you gotta tag.
I accidentally also put late. I was setting up for the shout out later early by accident. So that is on me. I fucked that one up.
I can't believe you've done this.
Keep it going because I could prepare a second link. But secret out who I'm shouting out. But keep on going. I'm preparing a second link, and I'll do a proper shout out for her after. Set. Jeff, go ahead.
I'm on all the socials at TimTKWriter, where I have a comic coming out next year through Someone Comics called Wolf Hunter. I'm on a show called Tabletop Collective, and I'm on Twitch at Aggrobacon.
Nice.
And your boy at Pirateghostdj, all one word. Twitter, Twitch. I would say Instagram as well, but for the ghost, just use the 0. So, because my old one got hacked, it sucks. But yeah. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Nice. What are you doing? Look at the statue. Alright, Landon, you want to go ahead, buddy?
So you can find me on almost everything.
Yeah.
It's the same, which is great. At TheChimpmunkPunk. So you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Twitch, and you can find me bumping around on quite a few things. So yeah.
All right, so
Neat.
well, you guys can find me here and on Twitter for Birdfest V2. I've been going back and forth on streaming games again. Kind of want to maybe on Twitch at some point, Instagram. Really just put Birdfest most of the time in my face. Easy to find me, more or less. But for my understanding, a friend of ours' birthday's today. Is that right, Landon? I saw you.
It sure is.
Wish her happy birthday. And but she is up and on the show. She did so much for us when we started out, and I think all of us know her besides maybe Phil. I don't know if you know her, but I'm talking about Fox and Prime, or AKA Cricket. It's her birthday today. She is a wonderful soul and a wonderful person, and a massive part of our wider community. I always try to go to her streams and got game nights with the community. I met so many people that have been on the show through her community. And they honestly mean the world to me, all those people, as well as her. And I want to do a special shout out and wish her a very happy birthday. So,
Birthday
know.
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. No, happy birthday.
happy
I don't know
birthday.
you, but happy birthday.
These
Happy,
hands are candles, and this is a whole cake.
happy birthday, Cricket. And
There we go. There we go.
you really mean so much to us that we really hope you had an amazing day. You can find her Twitch and Twitter. I chose public. Sounds like pretty easy to find through her normal links. So yeah, and that really wraps up our show. Next week we will be back on with campaign, and then we will take it from there. I'm not sure if we're gonna do a once-a-week format again. Might be a little too much for me these days, but Halo specials are doing back to back, and then after that, I'm gonna play it by ear, but try to figure out the new kind of routine that really works, where you guys have episodes, and fits in my life where I'm not taking a 2-month break. So, well, alright, month and a half break besides Shang-Chi. Because I popped it for Shang-Chi and it disappeared again. But we also have Spider-Man in a few weeks.
Yes.
Spider-Man.
Which
Yeah, that's coming out.
Buddha man.
I
Clear
am,
butt.
Voter.
I'll announce it right now for a second right before we end. Is I am not gonna go away on my winter break now. So, and I'm still seeing Spider-Man around the 17th or the 18th. But then I'll be back here. So I can now officially do Spider-Man on release week.
Nice.
So,
Spider-Man.
anyone that wants to join, let me know. And let's talk about Spider-Man because I'm so excited for that movie.
Mhm.
Can't
Yeah,
say
sounds
enough.
good.
But yeah. Alright guys, any last words you want to say to the random strangers on the interwebs, or
The only requirement for Spooderman is you go Spooderman, and then you're banned.
Sweat.
Sling your web, boy. Sling your web, boy. Sling your web.
Yeet.
do you have any other words from you? Or,
No.
I will
I
just,
think what's been said has been said.
I will just end this with
Die
a
well.
Halo comment for multiplayer. One of the AIs still sounds like Peter Parker to me. And I hear Peter Parker every time I'm in Halo multiplayer, and it's weird. That is all, folks. Have a wonderful night.
Alright.
Peace.
Later, boys.